permissions. So your team on the back end will be able to separate who's a publisher, so those individuals that are actually coming into the system and creating and releasing material. And then you can also separate viewing security rights, meaning that obviously board members are going to have a higher level of access as far as what content we can view compared to our administrative or department level individuals. Now, as board members, you're really just going to be hanging out on this featured page for the most part. What your publishers will do is post any of your most recently released or any of your most relevant content on this featured page for quick access. So in my demo site here, I like to share my 2 most recent meetings, any of my most recently released documentation, upcoming board events, and any recently worked on board goals. Keep in mind that this screen, as far as logo and background, is totally customizable. And then we can also include our members with brief descriptions if you'd like. Where we'll begin is the September 19th agenda. So directly from this featured page, I'll go ahead and hit September 19th. Notice that this pulls me to our meetings archive in board docs. In this archive, this is where we'll find all of our previous agendas and minutes by meeting date. And the benefit of having the archive in board docs is we have the option to keyword search the entire archive. So this will search inside of our agendas, this will search our minutes, and this will actually also search any of our included attachments or any type of reporting that's related onto our agendas here. So not only is it transparent for us as an organization, but if we think for the public, this is really going to enhance our transparency and ease of use of finding material that you all release. So I know with the current PDF layout, you do have to be clicked into a particular agenda to view it or to search. The nice thing in board docs is we can search the entire archive here. I mentioned to the members that I've met with before, we did end up signing with board docs. What we'll do during implementation is help get your historical archive into the system. So we typically see new customers go about 3 to 5 years back with their current material, and then everything moving forward would be in the board docs format. So a few things to point out. On our meeting notice for our last meeting in September, I do have a video icon here. So if we do have virtual participation, whether that's through a YouTube live stream or Zoom integration that we share, whether it's public or just to our private members, we can include that directly on our meeting notice here. So another great way to get our link out for us to join. And then we can obviously hit our agenda after you join that meeting. Now, keep in mind that this is my customized agenda. So this is not how you normally see your agenda labeled or categorized. It is totally customizable. So what your publishers will do on the back end is, customize and create your version of your agenda. However, it'll be structured like we see here, agenda items and categories on this left-hand side, and any of our supporting content and detail found on the right-hand side. Just for a quick example here, I do start a meeting with an executive session. Notice that there is a lock symbol next to this item that will inform us that access is private. It is not available to the public. And then you'll also see 2 other fields for security, administrative content and executive content. For the most part, we just find board members in this executive content level, and then anyone on the administrative team in the administrative content. We'll get into this in more detail here in a second. But just to click through a few items here, I'll scroll down to my announcements and reports category, and I'll hit item 5G. This is just a very simple construction project floor plan. Notice that I've shared some brief, text in the public content, as well as 3 attachments of our floor plans in the public content. This keeps the agenda very clean and very easy to look at. We can see with this paper symbol that there are attachments related to this. And then we can obviously click into our attachments if we need to reference. We don't necessarily have to scroll through a lengthy attachment or reference an attachment at the end of our packet. Everything's directly related to that particular item. Scrolling down here to item 7B, approval of resignations, give you a brief example of how we can separate our material. So this is our recommended action to approve resignation as presented. And the public content, I've shared name, department, and effective date for my public to see. However, privately, for just my board members to see, I've shared a brief board note with all of our resignation letters. So the benefit and efficiency here is not only are we remaining secure, but your publishers, instead of creating 2 different versions of our agendas, which is double the work as far as conversioning into PDF and sending out, they're creating one agenda, but on that one agenda, they're just simply separating who can see what based off of user permissions. Now, this meeting already took place back in September, and we did have a recommended action here. We have actually already taken our minutes and done voting for this item. So I can see here that we did have a unanimous vote and that motion was carried. It's a great source for reference if we ever need to go back and look at a particular action item from a previous meeting. We're going to find all that information, whether it's in the minutes or we can actually see it directly on that item. The last feature to show on the viewing of our agenda here is the option for board members to take private annotations. So this is specific to my individual login. No one else can see it. So if we wanted to come prepared with any questions or discussion topics or a quick note on a particular item, this is totally private to my individual login. No one else can see that. So that is our board notes feature. Going back to our meeting date, September 19th, notice that we can download as a PDF if we need, and you can also print. We don't recommend printing, not only to save costs on printing, but to also maintain security. You know that Board Docs is a secure software. We know that our private information is going to stay private. Public information will be available to the public. Now, this feature says edit minutes because I am listed as a publisher, but for a normal user, this will say view minutes. So on that meeting date, not only can we see the agenda, we can see our minutes. And if we do have any audio or video recordings, you do have the option to post those as well as timestamp with the agenda. Now, our public really likes this feature. If they were interested in new graduation requirements, they simply hit on 5A. And if I did have a video here, it'll fast forward to that portion of our recording. So as far as board members go, feature functionality wise, that's going to be your day to day. We're either going to be hanging out on the featured page here, where we can see all of our most relevant content, or we can see our meetings tab, which is where we'll find our agendas and minutes. Along with the agendas and minutes, you do also have the option to store your policy book in the system. You're going to hear me say in the next two features, Board Docs acts as a one-stop shop. Agendas, minutes, supporting attachments, policy book, and then this library section, which I'll get to in a second. So not only can we have keyword searchability for any of our active agendas, or excuse me, active policies, we can also click into each section, click on each code. We see that that status is active. I do have a couple of legal hyperlinks to codes outside of Board Docs. And then I can track when it was last reviewed and last revised. Now, this is beneficial to the board because it gives you the nice clarity and lifespan of this particular policy as we go through first reading, second reading, public or legal review, is it in discussion. So as the board is working on revisions, adopting new policies, activating or retiring policies, maintains our security as well as keeps us very organized as far as where we're at in the stage of that policy's life cycle. That is the policy section. Nothing too fancy to cover here. The last feature I'll cover before questions is this library feature. We have a general events and a goals section. This general section is a great place for a repository for any type of board related content. Some examples I see in here are public newsletters or public releases, student or employee handbooks, active contracts, any type of reporting material or committee material. I know our superintendents really like to use this for their weekly board updates. Notice that I have that access as private. And then I also have information in the executive content for just my board's eyes to see. Now this is beneficial because we can track our monthly or weekly events throughout the year. So as a member, I ever need to go back and reference an update from 2 weeks ago. Again, knowing that only my login for those particular rights can see that in the library, a nice tool for transparency. Events is pretty self-explanatory. I like to track my monthly events on this featured page. So this will really just show any type of district or board events coming up. And then the last feature in the library is the strategic goal tracker. And this will allow us to maintain and track manually any board goals that we're working on. Could be board goals, committee goals, superintendent evaluation, strategic plans, contracts, new hire, construction, you name it. A really nice way for us to stay organized and also maintaining that transparency for our public, showing them all the hard work we're doing, what else we have to accomplish. So as far as functionality and our features up here in the top right, that is all I have for you. We do have a full site search, which will allow us to toggle in which categories we would like to search. So potentially just looking into meetings and included attachments, Maybe I just wanted to search all of our minutes archive. Very easy for us to toggle and search to find content. This next feature, the meta search, is a popular feature in New York. This will search any board docs customers' public facing content. So if I were to type in vaping in New York, this will pull up any agenda item, policy, minutes, or any district that uses board docs that has discussed vaping publicly.
Whoa.
So a nice resource to see what our neighbor is discussing. And we can go in here to kind of see what other districts are working on. Functionality wise, that is all. Just to give you a quick, rundown of what training and implementation looks like. You do receive unlimited support and training. We will take your team through an implementation training and train all of your members very thoroughly. Really for board training, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We're going to train you how to log in, and we're just going to train you how to navigate the site. Full turnaround time does take about 2 months from contract signature. And what that means is we've loaded all of your historical archive in for agendas and minutes, got your policy book in, we've created your first agenda with you, and we've trained all of your members. Is a 2-month turnaround time to be using it during a live session. Now I know I was speaking very fast, wanted to get that in that quick 10-minute window here, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions if we have any.
I have one question regarding the security of the documents. I'm assuming that everything is saved on your own secure server. It is not part of Google Drive or OneDrive or anything like
That's
that.
correct.
Okay. What server system do you use?
We use AWS.
Thank you.
Do you have storage limitations in this application?
We do not. You will never run out of room in board docs. So anything that you've created in board docs will only be deleted if you delete it internally on the back.
Can you quickly show us the public side?
Absolutely.
Can you also verify that AWS is, you're using the region within the continental United States?
Could you repeat that question? I didn't hear you very well.
Are you using AWS within the continental United States, or are you using external like the UK or something like that?
So our only external servers are in Canada, but for any of our US customers, it is US based. We have separate servers in Canada. So here's the public side. Again, it's going to look very similar to what we saw. This is one of our current customers here. It's going to look very similar to what we just saw on the user side. So again, come to our featured page. The only difference is we're not going to be seeing any of their private material. So notice when I click into their agenda, I don't see that administrative and executive content. I'm only seeing what they've made publicly available here.
Thank you. Does anybody else on the board?
Drew, just one more question. So I want to make sure I heard you correctly. So any school district that is currently using board docs and has uploaded documentation for public, if we were to do a search on vaping in New York, we would have access to all of those discussions if we're in board docs as well for public.
You would only their public content, and that's only available to members with logins. So the public most definitely doesn't have access to that feature.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to clarify. So it would be as long as we.
Clarifying question.
Okay, so as long as we have access, we could, in theory, go and look at what other school districts have discussed on that topic.
If you had a user login, that's correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Great question.
And also just to add that you wouldn't be able to find that information if you did a Google search, because Boardax is an application, so it wouldn't appear in Google, which is only searching web pages. So only other way you would be able to find that information is if you bounce from district to district and into their Boardax instance, which would probably be very cumbersome.
When you implement this software, do you have any customers or school districts in the last 3 months that have had any struggles with the implementation, lessons learned, anything that's significant of concern?
No, I mean, you know, I think James could attest, I think our implementation process and our training team is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we really tailor to your specific organization, so it's not like we're sending, you know, 3 or 4 trainers at you. You'll have an individual trainer that's specific to your account. So through implementation, they really won't sign off on you guys are fully done with implementation until you feel comfortable using the system and we're up and running using it live. So our training team, I like to say they are scary, scary good. You can call them, you know, 24/7, 365. Someone's going to answer the phone to help. And that goes, you know, beyond the implementation. So that unlimited support and training is throughout the subscription. If we ever get new members to come in, or if we want to refresh our training or best practice training with our team, you know, you can schedule as much as you'd like, and we'd be happy to help.
I will
And
say,
what I can do is I can send you a listing of the ones who, with the implementation date that signed up this year. So I mean, we have over 400, which is most of New York State. But I can see your listing and you can just reach out to me if you'd like to.
I will say that at my last BOCES board meeting, several different school districts and I were discussing this and no one had a complaint.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I have nothing else. Thank you, gentlemen.
Of course. Yep. No, thank you all for your time tonight. I appreciate you all allowing me to present, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or if we're ready to move forward. I'm happy to help. So thanks again.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you. I keep believing we have any storage limitations. It's an annual, right? An
Yes.
annual service, okay,
Subscriptions, so they take it up in subscriptions.
sure, yeah. Well, pretty much anything like that usually does. Okay. Excellent.
We've got 2 minutes. I will get it.
Oh, did we have an agenda for today?
My bag.
Yeah, I do that.
Okay. All right, you guys, we're gonna
Oh,
get going.
I had a task.
It is 6:33 PM. And if everybody can stand and join in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing up is our external audit report from Insero and Company. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 2022 to 2023 financial report by Insero and Company CPAs LLP certified public accountants and consultants. May I have a motion? Thank you, Tiana. And second? Second. Thank you, Chris. You're up.
All right, so I'm just gonna do a brief overview of our deliverables. So as part of the larger audit report, we have 3 audit opinions. The first is an audit report and financial statements, which is a modified or complete opinion that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. There's also an audit report over internal control and compliance, which is required under government auditing standards. In that report had no instances of non-compliant with your internal control findings to communicate. Lastly, there's a third audit report on your federal award programs, which is required by uniform guidance. And for the major programs we tested, we had no instances of internal control or compliance findings related to that. Additionally, we had a comment letter, which also had no findings, and an extra classroom report, which had some small matters related to student clubs to communicate. Other than that, overall, the school district is in good financial health. There was no issues encountered in performing the audit. No findings of any sort to communicate. And the district is in compliance with all state laws, regulations, etc.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Since we asked all of our questions during our presentation earlier, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Do we have a need for an executive session? Okay. Sorry, everybody. So we do need an executive session at 6:36 PM to hear discussion on legal issues. May I have a motion? So thank you, Chris. And a second. Is that you, Eric? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, we will be right back.
No, I should have.
How are you? Good. We're just having. Well, we're going back to
So I was interested
And I thought it would be, I don't know if she's the one looking at that. I just wanted to.
That was like, I was.
Yeah. Take one. And didn't you grab it? Is he really? Yeah. I don't feel like in that. He's sweating. So you want everybody in front of it, I don't know. Well, that's the people, that's great. It was this, it was this one, it's spring on it. Can be great. They either. I don't know. I was pointing at this. There's all A's need that's approved. Yeah. Well, it's good. They have to take it outside. I don't know. So we got approved. Yeah, you're. Is it A or A? I. Did it approve? I can't. Wasn't that the very first thing? Is this what you're talking about right here? What? It's this. And this dude where you left, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Don't yell, really?
I know what I'm doing.
So
So are they doing this proposed executive session?
Yeah.
They did that,
Okay.
then they approved
They
it,
approved
that's why they left the room.
Okay. So what are they talking about? It's approved. What are they gonna talk about?
Well,
Something that's not public.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's why they went to a different room.
Gotcha. Preparedness for this, they were like. We're not. We're not gonna, oh my gosh. I'm gonna take her back. It was so bad.
No need.
Are you nervous? That's what they.
I don't think we ever.
Normally I'm.
Couldn't figure out anything else to do on it.
Right in, yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Wait.
There's lots of fun stuff to talk about.
And then once they come back.
No, I.
So this one- Those in the background, last.
Right now, we're doing this.
I'm super confused, thank you. I was forced to be here. Good night.
6 different houses that they're building. Start building. And they're.
Or it's not I could just ram in here.
Whatever.
Yeah, so that was the first option there you go. And he's saying you were talking about 5 or 6 times.
There's some like.
But I was like, all right, let me talk to you. More for us.
Yeah, Steve. What do we put for move 5 or second page 5? They'll say that.
Still sell here. I got a option for some, you can move some, we have a little ball. I'll do that I heard. For a lot of people say, oh, it's called that, it's their first, and then I'll look down. You know, and so, yeah, in fact.
That's my. It's fine. All right. We did that for paper.
It's just like that.
You get up right now, just go check.
When I.
Yeah. Right here, Eric, something, Eric Kelly. Yeah.
Can stand it.
And then I'm going to.
I can't see.
For small.
Molly Willis. Yana Mosen. Amish Tasberg. Christine Goodall. Stephanie. Miss Sexter, yep, she's on here. Shannon Devine.
Okay, I got it. They're all here.
Are they?
Nope.
They're all here.
It's their line of the meeting. I don't think. Yeah, they're all here. It's not all here. So we're named like the- now they're here. I told him. That's okay. No, I like. Put it back. Going on here. Right here, right? He's moving into our paper. He did. Yeah. It's purposely for all of this stuff. This is stressful. List of membership. I think it's all the person, but attendance. Fast and quiet. Really quiet. How many people attended? What is its name? Like 25. Issues were discussed, refer to me. Yeah. And the other thing is, I'm just saying. Okay. What? You guys, when we start, and we have numbers. Very confused, very quiet. We're not. Why when they're in here? Back because I crashed. You don't want to go. You don't want. Name of person, I'm guessing. You won't say much? So. That where that was bowling fan.
About 10 minutes.
I have to. Is that leaving my flight on the thing, or is that? Is that leaving surprising? No, but it's surprising. Oh, it's so good. No, but like, is that a normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so this is more reactive. Yeah. And I screensaver.
Correspondence, there is none. Policies for first reading, there are none. We have several for second reading. Approve the replacement of policy number 6173, sexual harassment prevention, with policy 6173, sexual harassment in the workplace for second reading. May I have a motion? Thank you, Chris. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom.
So I tried to organize these in a way that made a little bit more sense, although it's still complicated. But when you get this packet, I thought a paper copy would help, a new paper copy. You can see that we have the current, sexual harassment prevention policy, and then the proposed one. Kind of. And if you look at the massive chart, as we just talked about it last meeting, there's a number of policies here, some of which appeared both under students and under personnel, and some of them that had some redundancies. And so if we look on the left part of the column, those are the old policies that we've had, and then the right side, it shows you the proposed new ones, and then they're lined up with the ones that they were replacing. And I just put a check mark to the one that is in the packet right now. So right now we're looking at sexual harassment prevention, policy 6173. And we looked at this last time, but I just put them together with what they would be.
Thank you for doing that, because it can get
It gets, yeah.
a little confusing because several of them have similar titles. Did anybody have any questions on the updated proposed one that we received?
The new one's been reviewed by our attorney.
Yes. And it's Erie One's policy, which, you know, they have a leading attorneys that.
They vet them before they put them out to the school district, so.
Any key points to significant changes?
There's not really any major changes, and I have to tell you the truth that, there's gonna be new Title IX regulations that are coming out soon, so we probably will have to visit this again. Sorry to say.
But at least the bulk of the work
Yeah,
to be updated, we'll just be looking at updating the Title IX portions of it.
And that's what I think.
So in the meantime,
Yep, I just have one overall comment
Mhm.
as I was reading all this. If we could go ahead and get rid of the underlines. Because these are very much electronic documents anymore. And we're gonna be on our Word docs, so it always makes this false idea that there's something I should be able to click on, link on, and go for. So they're just suggesting to use bold when you need to, but get rid of underlining format, because unless it actually is gonna go to someplace else to help somebody understand that law or that rule.
Yes. You mentioned that before, and we should definitely do that with everything as we're updating them all.
So that will be changed before this gets published, if we approve it
Yes.
tonight.
Mhm.
Okay. Something that's helpful for me.
We'll just do the whole.
I like the bold if instead of the underline, if it's not a link.
Yep.
It
that's
just
good.
stands out more.
Yep.
Cause you are referencing Title IX, non-discrimination and anti-harassment, because it then implies it's referencing a document or a legal.
And screen readers get confused with underlining because of accessibility, so.
The only thing I had, I don't know if I asked this the last time, because these are my notes from the last time, in the new Erie one policy, page 6.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment in the workplace. I had a question about letter B toward the bottom, where it says for oral complaints, the individual will be encouraged to complete the complaint form, which is available on the district's website in writing. If he or she refuses, a complaint form based on the oral report will be prepared. The complainant will be provided a copy of the completed complaint form. Is this told to the person before they decide to make the complaint? Because I think that's pretty significant. If they
You mean the
possibly,
piece about the fact that they,
it will be a written complaint
oh, yeah.
with their name. Yeah,
Mhm.
is that,
Yes,
okay,
and
just
that,
want to make sure that,
yeah,
so-
and they, so, I mean, there's two sides to this, obviously, I mean, people need to know if they're making this assertion, it's a pretty serious thing.
Yes,
one,
right.
And on the other side, we have to take any, so if somebody does not want to put it in writing, but they want to make that complaint, we have an obligation to be thorough and make sure we put it in writing and have, a documentation trail of the whole investigation. So,
Just so that's made clear to the employees
Yeah.
before, as part of our policy.
Yeah.
So if you report it even orally, that it will be,
right.
yeah, okay. Just want to clarify.
I'm assuming it's somewhere at the college or the student comes to us, we have to tell them that to begin with.
Right, right.
Because. And then they can refuse to say anything if they wish.
Right.
Were there any other comments or questions on this one? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the replacement of policy number 6170/7370, non-discrimination and anti-harassment with policy 6170/7370, non-discrimination and anti-harassment in the district for second reading. May I have a motion? Thank you, Chris. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Eric. The next one.
So this policy is, you remember. There were two policies that were very similar. One was from 2005, and I think maybe that just had never been taught when the last review happened. So there was the non-discrimination and anti-harassment of personnel and students, and then there was also the prohibition of sexual harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and they had a lot of the same language in it. So what we are proposing to do is to use the new Erie 1 policy, which is non-discrimination and anti-harassment in the district. That would be applicable to both students and personnel. And then we would add a separate sexual harassment of students policy, which is required. So sexual harassment would be called out separately. So, and you can see that it says proposed, but that would be. And then we will there is going to be another one that has to do with anti-bullying education and requirements and DASAs that we're still for students. So these are, we looked at these both last
I know,
time.
but the proposed, okay, so it will be considered second reading.
Yeah.
when
Yes.
proposed, okay.
Yeah. We'll do the same, make sure we have number of underlines.
Okay.
So. Like we discussed last time, I had a few concerns, but I'm not sure when I should be addressing it
Yeah.
during this reading or the next two readings.
There won't be, this is it.
will be.
Okay, I need the next two
Oh,
agenda items that we're gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
6172 and 6171.
Yeah.
Do you have questions that are specific to this one?
If we are combining is what we were planning on doing, right? So, yeah. Yeah, so. I don't have any issue with approving the non-discrimination anti-harassment policy that Erie 1 proposed this. I was just hoping to add some of the wording from the previous policies into that or into our policy.
Right, and you were gonna look at which language.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you wanna,
So I don't know if you want me to say that now or wait.
and then not to be overly complicated, but so do we, and is that language, well, I'll listen to what you're gonna say, but I'm wondering, is that not also in the bullying harassment, the DASA one? Remember how we have that one now too? We
Right,
got
right,
to-
yeah, yeah.
All right, so why don't you start by saying the things that you think are missing?
So, the things that I did like about, policies 7371 / 6171. Let me grab that. Do you all have that? Okay. On the first page. The third full paragraph about other distinguishing characteristics. I like that, the above print as well, description of harassment, intimidation, bullying, in this entire paragraph here. Because I feel like the non-discrimination and the anti-harassment policy that Erie 1 has.
Yeah.
It's specific to the legally protected classes, which is good, but we also need to include everyone as far as the bullying and harassment is concerned. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We just want to make sure we don't leave people out.
So,
Should be a bigger group, but now it's targeted.
Right, not specific groups, but anyone, any child could be bullied, yeah. And I also like the sentence that immediately follows that third paragraph. This policy is not intended to prohibit expression of religious, philosophical, or political views, provided that the expression does not substantially disrupt the educational environment. I like including that as well.
I'm just curious as if in the new policy, they do the listing. That's similar. Not as thorough.
Right, I don't think they're as detailed.
I guess I think the new policy allows for more fluctuation of all these things to be included and not somebody to think that it's just sort of these things. That's sort of how I look at it, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any issue with the non-discrimination. I understand that these are the legally protected classes, but anti-harassment to me includes bullying and includes everyone. And I don't feel like that's mentioned in this policy. I think it's overlooked.
It does talk about it toward the end of the policy.
Oh, sorry, where?
Yeah, generally stated harassment consists of subjects on the basis of his or her membership, legally protected class over one verbal, written, physical conduct.
Right,
which may
then
include-
legally protected.
And then it says slurs, mimicking, name calling, graffiti, and mendo gestures, physical contact, stalking, bullying. Yeah, so it's on the bottom of
But I think, well,
page 3.
Thank you.
yeah, that's another.
Okay.
I like how in policy 6172, there's actually a bullying definition. And characteristics of bullying. I like that. I think that would be really important to include.
Even though we have a bullying policy.
I don't see.
So that's.
But we want to get rid of that, don't we?
No,
So
No. Oh, okay.
So the other policy, but I think that also speaks to protected classes. So I think that the gist of what you're saying, Molly, is that
We just want to make sure we include everyone.
that
That's
even if you're not a
consistent.
protected class, it's not okay to be bullied or harassed.
Right.
or
and that's,
all.
and that's in the DASA one.
So let's
Mm.
make sure that language is. Here, let's pass that one while we're.
Yeah,
This one.
sorry, I didn't know when to say
No,
this.
no,
So,
Say it every time, because it should be in everyone, bring it up.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah.
No,
It's a little confusing.
It is very, it's confusing, it's confusing because we're trying to tie all of them together
Right.
and be consistent in the language.
And what your point is, it should be consistent through all three.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we really watch out for is in policy making it, the college setting is, you don't want to have it stated one way in one policy and then have it in another policy. So my thought would be is if the DASA policy is going to do what Molly's concerned about, then in this policy, we address that additional clarification of bullying can be found in that policy. So you're not rewriting the language and causing things to get muddy. So we direct people to the other policy that is specific to bullying.
Right.
But if this
Well,
is the only thing they're reading, it should be inclusive, they shouldn't have to refer to another document, because policy should
don't
stand
want
on its own.
You don't want the
So,
policy to be different.
In the dignity for all bullying, harassment, prevention, intervention. Beginning part,
So the DASA, now we're on the
Yeah.
DASA one? Okay.
yes, because, so that. In the second paragraph, so the district seeks to, first paragraph, the district seeks to create an environment free of harassment, bullying, and discrimination to foster stability in its schools and to prevent conduct that is inconsistent with its educational mission. This policy is just one component of the district's overall commitment to maintaining a discrimination and harassment-free education and work environment. The district therefore prohibits all forms of harassment and bullying of students by employees or other students on school property and at school functions. And then further prohibits against students, including, and then it goes into the special classes. So it first says all forms of bullying and harassment in this one.
Got more special classes than we
And it does list out.
But I mean, why couldn't we take that and put it in this one, because I'm seeing exactly, because it says here on the.
On
keeps up
the
with that. The
non-discrimination.
non-discrimination, right, the second paragraph, the last one says, any legally protected class, including, and then it lists them, but not limited. It's very vague. I think it should say specifically what you just said and here as well.
You know why that's all probably also important, because this is only students. This
Which
is-
one?
The other one
The
is
DASA?
Yeah.
The DASA students.
But we want, I mean, so this, the one that we're talking about really, is for personnel and students. And so while this is clear that it means all sorts of bullying and harassment for students, we want that to be clear for personnel too.
I would copy and
Just
use
keep
that
the
language
same
and cite it, yep.
Yeah, can you copy and paste it? So you're gonna copy and paste from the DASA
Yeah.
to the 6170 or /7370 proposed.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
mean, I
like
think
that.
that if that's the language that we're in, I mean, we can keep it in consistent in both.
Right.
Yes.
And if we're gonna do that, and I was gonna, I have another thing, but I didn't want to totally. So in the same one, we're just saying.
Yeah.
The non-discrimination 6170-7370.
Yeah.
Page 5 of 7.
Mhm.
2/3 of the way down, 3/4 of the way down, knowingly making false accusations.
Right here.
I mean, that's in this one,
Mhm.
and it's not in others. Now, I want to be very, very clear that I don't want to scare anyone ever away from making, a statement, because it's hard enough to do it as it is, but I don't want to scare people away by having this, but it should also be known that
If you're gonna.
it
make-
has been done. Different places for all these different policies where people have used it as a leverage, as a tool, as revenge. I just think that it should be listed that that's not acceptable in any of these. Hopefully not to scare people, but to also let them know, you don't just do this, because there will be consequences if it isn't something.
Yeah.
And I mean, all of these are very, very delicate matters, but then I just think that it has to be so that everybody is covered, because we want to cover everyone from any of this terrible stuff that was done.
So you're thinking the opposite of what we just said with the other one, take this small statement here and put it also in the DASA, so those are consistent together.
I just think that anything where somebody's gonna make an accusation,
I think.
and again, I really, really want to be very clear that I'm not trying to say that one side or the other is right or wrong.
Right.
It's just that what's being done, that somebody might accuse them, is terrible. It should never be done. To falsely accuse somebody of something terrible is,
equally
it's
reprehensible.
equal, it can
Against the
destroy
flag.
people, and
It's
these are, these actions can cause lifelong effects of other people, so I just think that that should be in a lot of where things are being done.
I would agree with Tom on that one.
I also like in the first one, the actual, I mean, there's no question, when you're looking at the old. Bullying description definition and harassment definition, I mean, there's no doubt as to what they are.
Right.
And that's very clear, so I mean, that definition piece, in my opinion, that's a.
Is there a problem with adding it? I mean, or is it just? No, I don't want too many.
Are you talking about the definitions on the current, Tom?
Yeah, because they're abundantly clear as far as what they are, so I mean, there's nothing left up for interpretation.
Is, on the new one, is there anything about the power imbalance, character, bullying being characterized by?
One of them, I remember reading that.
Is there, okay, because that's, to me, I think it's significant.
I believe it was in.
Okay.
I mean, I can look and see.
The DASA one, but I could be wrong on that.
I
It's
just
not-
really like
you-
the old definition and the character, I just.
I mean. Really, there's.
I don't think they took them out. I think they consolidated them and perhaps consolidated too much.
So you want
Yeah,
that
maybe it's-
more explicit definition of bullying to be in the new.
Personally, I like it. I don't know how everyone else feels, but
Well, if it is for students,
yeah.
I look at it this way. Everything's up for interpretation if it's not fully identified or documented. In the old or in the current, right? You list out definition of harassment, bullying. Bullying is characterized by hazing, cyberbullying, which we know is really big. I know there's a lot of information there, but it might help to identify if you fall in any of those categories, so you're not making false accusations. Kind of going back to what Tom said, just so you understand it fully.
Because while we may understand what it entails, somebody else may not.
Right. There are pieces of it in here, you're right, Stephanie, but I don't know if it's enough.
All I ask is that if you put it in one and you want to put it in the other one, make them exactly the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Sure.
Agreed with that, absolutely.
Okay.
We know that there's a lot going on here, Joanne. It's like you're referring to the different policies. So it is a challenge.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I didn't invent these.
No.
So, I think that you're right, and I think, being as explicit as possible is good.
As a standalone, instead of having to
Yeah.
refer back and forth, it's just a lot easier to pull one out and look at it and have as much as you need there.
I do like the overview on the new proposed though. I think it was well written. But adding those definitions and I think we'll summarize it a little better.
All right, so we'll bring these back again, the next. Okay.
In the meantime, we do still need to, well, no, but we have to continue with the one we just did, which was 6170-7370.
All right,
We still need to,
yep, I have that right here.
vote on it. Shall we amend the motion so that we approve it with the discussed changes?
Yes, please.
And we'll bring it back for third reading at our next meeting. Are you okay with that, Chris and Eric? Okay.
Would it make sense too for us to just review it one more time too? Just to make sure before, would you guys be okay with that? Like,
It'll come back for a third reading, and if we're not happy with it at that point,
okay,
we go for a fourth reading. We go for a fourth.
all right, I just want to make sure. Okay.
And it'll be easier for us to see it.
Gotcha.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, now
Does
that,
that go back to that first one?
I think we're okay, because we had already said we've discussed changes for that one. So we've just added more changes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So now we need to. Do we have more discussion on, well, let's do a motion for DASA one, replacement of policy number 6172/7372, bullying, harassment, prevention and intervention with policy 6172/7372, dignity for all students for second reading. May have a motion. So moved. Thank you, Chris. And a second. Second. Thank you, Tiana. Did we have more discussion on the DASA one?
I think we just wanted to have the definitions.
Right.
Right,
And then also the clause in there about,
False.
Paul, if you make, there could be disciplinary. Okay.
Trees are dying.
Let me know, Tom. I'm invading your space, let me know.
Okay, were there any other changes we wanted to look at for the dignity for all students? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Which brings us to approve the removal of policy number 7371/6171, prohibition of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. May I have a motion? So moved. A second. Okay, I have Tiana and Chris. And so this is the one that,
was kind of redundant, it was from 2005.
Yeah.
It was
And-
very similar to the non-discrimination. and
Yeah.
integrity. Yeah.
is there any concern with removing that one since it was redundant?
Nope, and it's covered in the one we just went over 100%. Yeah.
I just, like I said, I just wanted to add that wording if that was possible.
Yep,
from
well,
that.
we are,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
okay,
are.
Yeah,
that-
they're gonna
that's it, that's
so-
it.
so
So,
that's-
yeah,
so
that
that's
was
good.
my only.
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right.
okay,
Do we have that?
okay. Were there any other questions from board members regarding the removal of this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, that brings us to our first opportunity for comments from the public. There will be a second opportunity towards the end of the meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. This is because we take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. The district clerk will be keeping track of questions and make sure they are passed on to the appropriate people. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously. On these matters, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. Finally, we recognize that right now our nation and our community are polarized on a number of issues. That said, we want our school board meetings to serve as an example to our students that members of our school board and members of our community can deal with controversial issues in a civil manner and demonstrate mutual respect for one another. In that spirit, we will insist that all speakers and members of the audience maintain civility and respect for any divergent view that others possess. We ask that speakers please address their comments to the board directly rather than to the audience. In the unlikely event the meeting becomes unruly, the board will recess the meeting and return once order has been restored. The board will now entertain public comments. Each individual speaker is allotted 3 minutes. The individual time limits will be enforced so that as many members of the public who wish to speak may be allowed to do so. Please state your name and residency before you begin. And please remember, as I said, there is a second opportunity at the end of the meeting as well. Is there anybody who would like to bring something forward this evening?
Who go first?
Good evening, board members and administrators. Stephen Clock, former employee. I like to say that so everyone knows my perspective. This is the third time I've been here after the Columbus Day Parade. And I need to tell you, the band still doesn't have their new uniforms.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 years, yes. I believe they are ordered. I was going to say that, so before anyone gets too excited, I believe they're ordered and I believe it's been a supply issue in getting them finally here. I will say the band was able to put together enough of the old uniforms and they looked the part. It was a big difference from previous years. They looked good. They looked like a marching band. Even the color guard had maroon and gold ribbons on their uniforms and maroon and gold flags. And it looked like it all belonged together. And not that we didn't look like we were Johnson City with their maroon and white. Okay. So that was good. And they sounded good as well. The numbers are down in band, but they did a good job working with what they've got. And I think they can be proud of their performance this year. That's the first thing I wanted to say. And since I'm here speaking, I also wanted to bring this up. And this was last minute. I wasn't prepared to speak about this, but my thoughts might be scattered. I believe it was last year's budget. There was a 0% increase. Is that right? I know you're not supposed to comment, but 2 years ago? Okay, thank you. I think that was a mistake. And I know what you can't believe someone's complaining about that. But as competitive as the job market is right now, and with the way the economy is going, if you just tread water, you're going backwards, okay? It takes money to run a school, just like it takes money to do anything else. And I think if you settle for a mediocre budget, you're gonna get mediocre results. And I think I've seen, and just my perspective, I've seen numerous teachers leaving this school over the last couple years. And I'm pretty ignorant on the subject, I'll admit it, but I'm starting to question the quality of education. And if you want first-class education, you have to have a first-class budget to support it. It's just the way it goes. And I don't want the board members, please don't ever underestimate the public. There's people out there like me that know it takes money. And if you want to have, back when I was racing, if you want a winning car, it takes money to have a winning car. If you don't want to spend anything, you're gonna run in the back of the pack. And I think people are more likely to be on board with budget increases, especially if you communicate to them what they're getting for their money. I'm sure there are many metrics that rate the performance of a school. Maybe it's a good idea to share some of them with the public. If we're doing lousy, show people we're doing lousy and explain to them, we need to spend more money here on salaries or what have you to draw in those. I mean, we all know that there are different, I don't know how to put it so it sounds well, but there are different classes or different. You get what you pay for, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think that goes across the board for staffing included. And if you want first-class educators, you're gonna have to pay for them. And I think it will pay. Spend a little money now or what have you, get your first-class educators, and over the long run, it will benefit the district. And there's people out there like me that understand that. So don't, just keep that in mind when you're putting your budgets together. I know it's a touchy subject, but it's everything. Prices go up on everything, and school taxes are not exempt from that. So that's all I have. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak this evening? Okay. That brings us to the commendation.
Okay, we're gonna start with the Board of Education members. For their dedicated service and commitment to the Whitney Point School District. It is School Board Recognition Week on October 16th through the 20th, so we're not quite there, but this is the meeting before. And there's a little thank you in the bag, our little gold bag there.
Thank you.
For each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for, and everybody knows here, these people are volunteers and they have to work very hard at their jobs for nothing. So we thank them very much because they do it because they care about our school district. The Whitney Point PTA, Mrs. Guzman and Mrs. Prokop for a fun annual family weenie roast held on September 15th, 2023. Ms. Hayes, Dr. Follett, the Timison family, and the Board of Education, the Whitney Point Central School District athletes, families, and community members for a successful opening ceremony and ribbon cutting for the new Timison turf field on September 16th, 2023. Thanks to everybody to make that day, that made that day special. CEA administration, faculty, staff, and students for a ceremonial signing of the beam, which we had a picture up there, but we can look at it later. That occurred, right out of our pre-K edition, so all of those students are gonna have their name, inside the structure of the, new pre-K edition, so that's very exciting. We'll get there.
Zach's struggling.
Whitney Point, field hockey coach, oh, there we go. There it is.
Yeah, I love that. So it's gonna be built into the
Yeah.
addition, right? I love it.
Whitney Point varsity field hockey coach in Houston for her 300th career win on October 3rd, 2023. Congratulations, Nikki.
Impressive.
And all the players, let's not forget them.
Yes.
Whitney Point varsity field hockey player Genevieve Houston for being named WICZ's Athlete of the Week. Assistant Superintendent Shannon Gillette for a successful conference day on October 6th, 2023. As the previous superintendent always said, superintendent's conference days are really all about the assistant superintendent. They do all the heavy lifting. Also to the Whitney Point marching band that did not look like Johnson City, and their color guard for their Battle of the Bands performance on the Columbus Day. So we are very proud of them. Also, please take a moment to notice the artwork that we have behind you from our art department. They like to show off some of their talents for our meetings.
Okay. When I saw the band's pictures, I immediately remembered his, and I thought, oh, we got our uniforms.
I super get that now. Anything we order, I'm like, it cannot look like Johnson City.
No, and it definitely will not look like.
I
Johnson
thought the
City
pictures
at
were
all.
nice that were posted as well.
Yeah, so
they
at
look
least it's
good.
coming up.
Yes.
And then
yes.
that's her tradition for them to take the photo on those steps.
It was
every
very
year.
nice.
So
New one for Brazilian.
they're gonna be amazing.
Yes.
And we look forward to having you come back, Steve, and tell us.
Oh, I will.
Okay. Old business, we have none. New business, the approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Tiana, and a second. Second. Thank you, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, create one full-time teacher's aide position effective October 11th, 2023. May I have a motion? So okay, Molly and Chris. Is this?
This is one we discussed, first, the 7th grade technology support there.
Yep, okay, great. Any questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We're gonna move very briefly to the agenda and take care of those three items quickly. Approve the unpaid parental leave of absence of Amber Stithy Schaff, cook manager, effective October 1st through November 30th, 2023. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Tiana, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Molly. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Approve the field trip request for TRA Drama Club to New York City, May 11th, 2024. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Tiana. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions or comments?
Are they going to see a show, music thing?
Yes.
Yeah, Broadway, and see what they could. Something in the theater, I couldn't read it.
Yeah, I don't think they, yeah,
Okay.
they will be going to a Broadway show.
Yeah.
That's what I.
Always better to make sure you can go before you purchase the tickets.
Right.
They're rather pricey.
Yeah, couple $100.
Yep. Any other questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Approve the appointment of Robert Symes, cleaner, subject to fingerprint clearance. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have Chris and Tiana. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Back to the agenda. And we'll continue with appointments. Approve the 4-year probationary appointment of Kayla. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. I think it's Kayati. Okay. She told me what I meant.
Katie.
That's what they think it like. School counselor effective October 16th, 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana.
Second.
Was that you, Eric?
Yes,
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
And we're glad to have her joining our.
Absolutely. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Jessica Swift, term substitute math teacher for the 2023 to 2024 school year, effective October 2nd, 2023, pending completion of certification. May I have a motion? Thank you, Chris. And second?
Second.
Thank you, Tiana. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Leanne Rutan, part-time teacher's aide, effective October 11th, 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second? Second. Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments?
This is to fill, a part-time position that went full-time for, on the previous meeting. Both of these next year.
Okay.
We're filling in the half time ones.
Any questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Sarah Cesar, part-time teacher's aide, effective date to be determined. May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Eric. I have Eric and Chris. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Scott McIntyre, maintenance supervisor, effective October 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Thank you. I'm sorry, not enough caffeine today. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Molly. Any questions or comments? Lucky to have them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Now, along with that position. Yeah.
I like that.
But wait, there's more.
That Zach is it before.
No, no.
Maybe 1 year.
You've had some unique stuff to do, Zach.
Oh, Janice, so most impressive.
For a while, Mary Hibbard, as assistant superintendent, was the local asbestos.
Yeah, that's what you guys
She
were telling
was
us.
also pest control too.
Right, and then super assistant superintendent.
Okay, so we're also going to approve Mr. McIntyre as the local education agency, LEA, asbestos designee. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana, and a second. Second. Thank you, Chris.
He does know that, right?
Tell him tomorrow.
Well, you know, he didn't come to.
So
Congratulations. Too.
we're gonna add this to your, and also the pest management too.
Yeah, yeah, he does know that. Okay.
I could get him a nice little placard.
All those in favor?
Fly swatter.
A hazmat mask and a fly swatter is all set.
We're teasing, we're teasing.
All those in favor for the asbestos?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, and once again is the integrated pest management control coordinator.
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana.
Second.
Thank you, Eric. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Gordon Tickner, bus driver, effective October 11th, 2023. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Chris. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tiana. Any questions or comments? Thank goodness, another bus driver.
I know. Just keep them coming.
And one who knows the routes already. Yes, he does. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the appointment of Joshua Davies, cleaner, effective date to be determined. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom Hausberg. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Employment agreement. Approve the 2023 to 2025 employment agreement between the chief executive officer and the maintenance supervisor dated September 28th, 2023, effective October 11th, 2023. May I have a motion? So moved. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris and Tiana. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve Michael Fleming, grade 2, to attend the Whitney Point Central School District for the 2023 to 2024 school year and that tuition be paid. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. Second. Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The board will nominate and approve a voting delegate for the New York State School Boards Association, NYSBA Annual Business Meeting. Do we have a nomination for somebody?
Just real quick, in the past, who's it been? That's what I thought.
Then 1 year, so that's the past.
Oh, that's right, because we've only had it 1 year.
The long past. If you want to sit through the 14 hours worth of meetings, you go right ahead.
I was just gonna ask, what are your thoughts on it? Would you like to continue?
Oh, I would like to stay.
I would like to nominate Chris then.
And could I have a second?
I will second it. Got you with all of that one?
You guys are welcome to sit in on the meeting if you want. It
Just
starts
bring
at
us the
4 and ends at 11.
Right, we like your summary.
And actually, we will be discussing later on.
Yeah.
The proposed
Yeah.
solution, yeah.
Yes.
This is actually really good. I didn't read all the way through it, but I read some of it. I'm not gonna
I'm
lie.
gonna quiz you. Okay, so let's finish this one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Chris has some items that she would like to highlight. So, a very, very thorough document, and I left it sitting right on my desk at work, so. Thank goodness my grad assistant took lots of pictures for me. So anyhow, in the normal business meeting that we have down in BOCES, we do go through the whole packet. So we go through every single resolution, and basically, as the BOCES group, we decide where we're gonna vote, and we sort of, stay together. But there are some items that we tend to bring back to the board that we're like, okay, here are the ones that either we couldn't agree on, or we feel it should be more of an individual decision. The first one was item number 17. Well, first of all, just in case for the new board members, if you don't understand how the book is set up, the sunsetting proposal resolutions are basically just going away. They've been denied, voted down, so they're sunsetting. So they have to be brought back if they're ever going to be brought back, but all the sunsetting resolutions down to 14 were just last. They didn't want them. Yeah, they just died. Yep. Weren't they all like from the Bruce School Board or something like that? Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were old ones. So they're not. Yeah, they're not. Right. So they're not going to be looked at all. So the first one that really was important was item proposal number 17. And in proposal number 17, the reason that is the wording And, I'm gonna have to pull up my phone because our both, well, there's a school
That's on
district,
page 17.
no, it's proposal resolution
No, it
17.
actually is on.
And it is on page 17.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I do have it right, okay.
So this particular proposal is the Narcan proposal. But the wording is very obnoxious, like, it's obtuse, because it says, all schools should have naloxone on site. So that means that all they'd have to do is have it in the nurse's station.
Are you concerned with that? What's the concern? I'm just trying to understand what are you think, what were,
Well, naloxone is to be used as quickly as possible when you think an overdose is happening.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there should be possibly other places that it might be safely kept or used or stored, I'm not sure. I'm a teacher, I have my naloxone kit on me at all times,
okay,
so.
But if you're in the back of the high school downstairs,
right,
how quickly can somebody get to the nurse's office and back?
Right,
so are you
So
thinking multiple locations would be,
well, we can do what we want as a district. I'm just telling you that the rule that they're supporting just says it has to be on it, but we might come back after it's approved and say, we would like to have something different in our district. There,
Using our district as an example. What storage locations do we have and what personnel carry it with them currently in our school district, maybe as a
I don't know.
example to pass along to them. That are, I guess, somebody may carry individually personally, but, where is it stored at each school?
The nurse's office.
Nurse's
As
office.
as a minimum,
And,
but there are other people, I think I've mentioned before, that we offer training for faculty and staff, anybody who wants to.
and
come.
in our
So-
district, every SRO carries Narcan also, correct? So they're roaming and flexible to go anywhere.
so
So at the
nurse's
very
office and
least-
RCOs, you said, I'm sorry,
So
or
SROs.
SROs,
other individuals.
okay, just trying to write that down.
Well, and there's the other problem that, and I gotta point this out, at the top, it says. That New York State Boards Association supports the requirement to have all districts supplied naloxone available for use in all school buildings. But it doesn't say that they're gonna pay for it.
They're free.
I thought Narcan was free.
They can get a bigger-
So, yeah,
I
so,
know there's something in the Supreme Court, our county attorney has also stated that. Be very careful, because legally, if you submit this and you miss a step or. Where are the liabilities? They're still kind of being defined, right? So, yeah, saving a person's life is probably a high priority, but. I would be very hesitant to be put in a scenario where I cause that person to die, because I mess up. Because I'm an IT guy, not an administrator of Narcan.
That's why it would have to be,
yeah, I don't think,
Training.
I don't think that they're worried about that in this particular proposal, but.
So these proposals are being brought to NISBA,
Say we want them to be taken to the state.
to Albany, right,
Yeah.
Chris?
But the words that they want changed from a school district that is at Newark Valley, which is one of our neighboring school districts. They would like the words changed from requirement to have district supplied naloxone, they want state supplied naloxone. They're proposing an actual amendment request that would change that from district to state supply. So I'm just making you aware of that this might change.
What are the implications of that?
State's paying
The
for it
state,
instead of the
instead
district.
of us paying for it. the
How
state
much
would
is
pay
the
for it.
cost?
Well, free right now, but
Yeah.
they're afraid that it will
They're
change,
expensive.
so they want the state to continue paying for
and
it.
it will become yet another unfunded
Funded
mandate.
mandate.
This will
And
just
they
secure
expire.
that.
They
No,
expire.
There's a shelf life.
Yep.
There is no shelf.
No, there is.
There is a
There's
shelf
a
life,
shelf.
yeah,
It's like EpiPens, it's real expensive.
Right.
What
I
is
think
the
that's-
shelf life?
about a year and a half.
So you
And
have to
it's the
replace
same issue
everything
when
every-
everybody had to get defibrillators,
Yeah.
which was great, but what you don't know is that the pads and leads have to be replaced. I don't remember how frequently. Murphy, do you remember how frequently they have to be replaced?
Within a 3-year time span and.
Still better to have.
Battery,
than these.
battery
Plastic
pads,
filter.
it's costly, and you have to the athletic trainer helped check them for me, and then we have to order new ones when they expire.
Yeah.
So if we do this, we would have to have a policy in place to support the frequency of the expiration, possibly the training of,
Yeah, right now, this is just going to the state.
gotcha.
But I just wanted to let you know that there is an amendment, there is
Okay.
a request form that this be changed from state supplied instead of district supplied, because that implies the districts have to pay for it, but the state no longer gives it to us free.
Support Newarkville, is that correct, Matt?
Yep, yeah, agreed.
Okay, Newark Valley will like that. Okay, the next one is number 25. And I might have to get a little bit of help from Joanne and
That's on page
Shannon?
21.
and that is all about, now this, what way they explained it, and they support it, so just, if you're aware of this is to get rid of the lottery for pre-K. Now, we know that we haven't had to use it, have we, lately?
Not since we've gotten the new grants.
Not for
But,
grants.
but if we should get full enrollment at some point, we do need to, what that means is. So if you have more students who want to be in your pre-K program than there are slots, then you can't do it by need, you can't do it by first come, first serve, you can't do it, you have to do it by a lottery. And some of you might remember, we actually used to have a lottery.
Yes.
Come in and.
Yes. So
They're
Chris, are they
proposing-
proposing
They're
that?
proposing to get rid of it.
To get rid of the lot?
Lottery, so that school districts can decide and determine, because if you'll see in the last statement, it says, while all students benefit from early childhood education, access to early childhood education can be game changing for high needs students benefit from the program. So they're saying a school district should be able to, if the family is a high needs situation, they should be able to get a spot over a family who's not, once a lottery happens. So this right now is being supported by the DEI. And it was a 50-50 debate in our BOCES, so I just need to know how you guys want me to vote.
I wrote in here, because I went through all of them, I usually put what I think and I see what they said. I make notes as I go, I put that I didn't support this because, and I wrote because in the first 2-3 sentences, it says what the problem is. And I wrote, fix the problem. I mean, we're trying, well,
Have more
we're,
PTAs.
well,
Yeah.
our district, like we were saying before, we were looking at cafeterias. We put our money in our pre-K. We have more space, we have more need. If the districts really want this, they should put their money where their mouth is and fix the problem. So that you're not saying that you're only gonna take the high needs people. It should be everybody that can do it in your community. By doing this, you're putting a Band-Aid, you're not fixing the problem. You're just saying, well, we're gonna get rid of it. We're not gonna fix it and build more pre-K spaces, which is the problem that it says above.
This is
To me, that's
an Albany district, just so you guys know. This is Gilderland, Albany School District.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Gilderland isn't a poor district, so.
No.
So, anyway,
So I just need to know how we want me to vote. Do we support yes, or we say no? I vote for us.
In the resolve portion, they clearly state who is going to get preference, and that seems a little odd. Those that are eligible for free and reduced price lunches and or are English language learners.
If we don't go to the lottery, yeah.
That's what they want to go to,
Right,
is a preference to
those two.
who is eligible for free and reduced price lunches and or are English language learners.
But right now it's a lottery system.
Right.
If I remember correctly, one of our first grants.
Lottery
for
seems a lot more
UPK,
fair than targeting certain groups.
we had to have a certain number of high needs students. A certain number of high needs students. And then lottery. After that, it might,
Has to do with our partnership.
yeah, that was like one of the very, but it's no longer like that.
but if you're a high needs district, the percentage of, even in a lottery is still gonna probably meet what you need.
True.
Yeah.
Right, I would agree.
I would rather fix the problem than put a Band-Aid on it and just make it go away. And call the districts that are saying it, it's like Gilderland, build some more. No, I seriously, I'm tired of people
personally,
like,
yeah, I'm against this. I don't think we should remove.
we don't have space, we're gonna get rid of this, and then we're just gonna give it to all the free and reduced lunch children, so the other children benefit of having this opportunity.
This,
That's wrong.
I just think having the lottery allows opportunity for all students regardless of their situation. So I'm a proponent for the lottery. So I'll leave it at that and maybe you guys can say your piece and then Chris can take it back. Molly,
Seems more fair to me. We don't have them like-
I
Eric,
agree with the current lottery.
So we're not in support of this, we're in, so I'll be voting no.
thank you.
Tell them build more preschool space.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, resolution 26 just has to do with, supporting computer-based testing. And just so you know, this is an unfunded mandate that the state should cover. Right now, the state is not covering this. I know it's being supported, but again, it was like, we shouldn't be voting yes for this because it's an unfunded mandate. So again, it was a 50-50.
This is a tough one.
William and Shannon, any comments?
I don't know why, I mean, there's not, I mean, before we had devices. That would have been a problem.
Right.
And it was, we know when they first gave us a timeline, but then we suddenly, because of COVID, had to have devices, so. So for a district who isn't one-to-one, it would be a problem.
And that's what happened, in our conversation. More people were in favor of supporting it now because districts don't have the access to devices like they used to. So that's why they were supporting it.
We're discussing in-room testing, correct? The device in front of you versus printed materials,
Right.
not remote or at-home
Right.
testing.
Right. Students still get accommodations if they need it, they don't have to use
Right.
technology and stuff like that, but. I mean, they said, I mean, their rationale is there isn't any other unfunded mandates the state should cover, so what the truth of it is most of us have it, and that's why DE is supporting it.
So this was a 50-50 split too, pretty much.
Yeah, it was about half and half. What do you think?
Question mark, because some of these you read them, but it's better to ask the people that are doing it and what's happening, so.
And I can make the decision when I listen to the,
Well, I mean, for our district, how we were just saying that if it, I don't know,
I
I mean, I
wouldn't know
could look
this
at
one
it, but
either.
then if it is something that the school.
I mean, it sounds like they have results that would indicate that the kids
well, what they're saying is that New York State should research
research it to
if
see.
students are performing better on computers, and if that is so, then New York State should fund the
computer-based tests.
Right, yeah. I
Which-
support it personally. Which I agree, that if they're going to enforce that that all students will take computer-based tests, then the state should be helping us to fund the cost of devices on which to take the tests.
If
I would agree with that,
they're performing better, so that's the first thing.
Well, that's why I asked that.
Right.
If the research says that it is in fact evidence that students do take tests better on computers, I'd be a proponent for what Stephanie just said. If that's the case, they have the state fund it.
Do they do this across the whole
Okay.
state? Like this will be done
Yes.
in New York City and Buffalo?
It won't be a pick and choose.
That's
Okay.
it.
So it's consistent across the board. Okay. So how would you guys like Chris to vote on that? I'm for it with evidence backup and state funding. We don't want to pay for it.
Okay, this is why I wanted to go through these fast, but.
Sorry, Chris.
No, it's okay, because these are the ones that are important. Resolution 31, which is on page 24. This is a provision that supports having alternative early voting allowed in non-school district elections in New York. So we would have to, if this gets passed, we will have to support and take care of early voting.
And what's the cost of the district and staff and setup and like, so what's the cost of us to do it this
Yeah,
way?
this
Paper,
one
Do
was.
we have space?
This one was quite a conversation. Most of us said we didn't support it. But Binghamton really gave a good argument for the fact that they need it, so. But that's the vote.
What was their
Somehow we've
needs?
been for years
What was their needs?
with that
Just
early
because
voting.
of different places and being able to let people get to different areas at different times.
The flexibility.
Flexibility.
Okay, so that's all there.
So this one is that they would allow early voting, but you didn't have to have early voting, but apparently now it's not allowed. For school district-based elections to have early voting.
So if we were to agree to this, we wouldn't have to comply. They would just offer it. Is that right, Chris? Or would we have to comply?
No, we wouldn't have to comply, but the state would have to allow
Allow,
early
yes.
voting. Yes, right.
But if they allow it, we don't have to comply. They're two different things. That's why I want to make sure. So
Yeah.
if Binghamton's that passionate about it for whatever reason, if this were voted a yes, we would not have to offer early.
So after I listened to her voice, I was like, okay, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think because it doesn't require us to do it, it would be nice if for the districts that needed it, that they could offer it.
Yeah.
Right.
And when if it gets voted and then the community comes in and says it's allowed, we want it.
That's,
Then,
They have to
then,
vote. Yeah,
then, but I'm just saying, then how much does it cost? Where do we have to have it? What
Right,
kind
and
of
then you have
staff do we have to have? So I'd rather look at that before,
yeah,
because if you allow it and then we get pushed that we want, our community wants it, then you have to know what we have to do to allow that. So there's a lot more than just saying, okay, it help.
With that statement, I would say no then.
What a suggestion of districts over a certain population. Over a certain population, then they can allow it.
but either we support it as written or we don't support it as written.
Right,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. I'm, all right, I'm gonna sway no now.
Okay.
I had a question mark, but I'll go no, because if we don't have, it's another mandate almost, that if we
Yeah,
don't
it's-
have the staff, then we have to hire
I
people.
just get the
for it.
button.
No, I'm not trying
I love it, I love it. Are you guys a no too?
Yeah, they did. No,
I
they-
voted early
Yeah, they put their thumbs down.
Did you mail it?
Okay.
last week.
We didn't get it.
Okay, next one. Okay, yeah, let me keep moving here, or, I just wanna make a mention, this is quick, 35 and 36, everybody was in support of these. To get rid of and make sure they continue getting rid of the mandates for zero emissions. So unless you guys want me to do zero emissions, I will be supporting.
No.
The BOCES.
I'm against it.
Because they don't make extension cords long enough to go through the district on the roofs.
I like the idea,
Right.
I like the idea, but
Yes.
magnets don't work.
Now, 30
As an environmental person, it's something that's.
I agree, but-
Exactly.
So 37 is interesting, and I'm really kind of curious if we do anything here in this.
So we were all
Yeah.
no for
Yeah,
35 and 30,
35 and 36.
okay,
Yeah.
and then 37, Chris?
37 is interesting. They want to propose that we would reduce the required number of lockdown drills conducted each year.
How many do we have right now?
Matt, I had it written down in my other book.
It said in here that they through 7th through 12th grade or 9th through 12th grade would be 50.
That's in a
Wait.
whole time of their
Their
life.
whole,
Yes.
Oh,
their whole, wait a minute. we're
not for
over-
the whole year,
K to
Tom.
12 no, during
No.
those years, but it said during,
12.
over their K to 12, they would have
3 to
50.
4 a year.
Yeah,
That's what
there,
it boils
I
down.
had it written
That's
down.
reasonable.
I had it written down how many they have, fire drills. and
Joanne says
lockdown
it's
drills.
4. All right,
Is it 4, Joanne? Because I had it written in my other book.
And so the other thing with that, have you seen, once it's been done year after year, is there a lot of angst and anxiety when they happen?
So we do 8 fire drills a year for the lockdown drills. I think it's just, again, the routine of getting people to know what you're supposed to do.
And that's my thing is muscle memory, you do it, and then when it happens, you're doing it, and then you're safe. I put that.
you guys haven't seen any,
No, I mean, we don't do what some schools do, like sort of like extreme lockdown strategies.
Have people join.
Yeah,
Which they
and
have
they bring
people-
like a SWAT team in,
Yeah.
and you know, that is very.
That is scary.
kind of almost traumatic a little bit.
Well, that's
It
what they
really
were
is
saying, the
children.
drama. Eric?
How many fire drills a year do we have here?
8.
How many lockdowns a year do we have?
4.
In each building.
In the news, how often do you see school fires versus school shootings? So
Are you suggesting we have more lockdowns? Is that what you're saying?
continue the current level or increase, yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
you're for it,
I will say that,
Fortunately, that's what's happening.
or you're
and
against.
one of the things they did mention is, if the school has to do a lockdown, it doesn't count as the drills. So I remember we had what, in like 3 weeks, we had like 3 lockdowns here, so.
No, they were
No,
lockouts.
Lockouts, that's right, lockouts, that's, I'm
A
sorry.
lockout, not a
Different
lockdown.
But anyhow,
But same as fire drills, like we just had to evacuate and like can't count it.
But then they were well prepared though.
there
They
you
did it,
that's
right?
more.
Okay, so this one recommends that we reduce, so I'm against this one, I say no.
Maintain or increase.
So Eric, you
Maintain.
say no, yeah, maintain or increase, okay.
Okay,
Can
got
I
it,
ask a question?
yeah.
I'm sorry, and then this doesn't have anything to do with your voting on this, but are subs trained at any point for the lockdown drills and okay, so that's my.
Part of their
concern.
onboarding is to get the mandated training, which includes, they go through the standard response protocol.
Okay, all right.
And can I say something? Our teachers here are amazing because
Oh, yeah.
I had 23 student teachers or practicum students here. Before the second day of their practicum, they knew right where the fire drill book was, where it was going to be, what they were supposed to do. And they're just college students, so
Impressive.
the communication here is amazing.
Good to hear, good.
Okay, now, okay, I know,
Practice
I'm trying to,
works.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Let's see, 42.
42.
This is changing the age level of pre-K. What? Yep, they want to start making it that you can't go to, is it kindergarten or pre-K? That you have to turn 5 years old by September 1st. No,
No, that's a hard no for me. What do you think?
they have no position
What
here.
was what was the
Right now, it's
discussion?
December 1st.
December first, it's the right.
That's the
They're gonna
normal.
move it.
They want
That's
to
the
move it.
normal in New York State.
Right,
In
they-
other states, it's not.
There was a superintendent there that was giving us feedback. And the superintendent from a Rose's area, I can't remember which district, she's Binghamton, it's Binghamton superintendent,
Tanya?
Tanya.
Oh.
And she really was for this. She said it would make it so much easier for the school districts. But I don't really hear guys' thoughts.
Well, it's confusing. To say, so, I mean, if you changed it to September 1st, it would change, you'd phase in a changing of the demographics, because especially for little ones, there's a big difference in a few months, developmentally where they are. But right now, the odd thing is, like, you don't start when you're 5 necessarily, you start when you're gonna be 5, by December 1st. So it's a confusing thing at minimum.
I would agree with that.
If you need to be 5 by September 1st, then the argument some people would make too is that you might be more ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I was asking, if that's what the discussion was
That's what
pointing toward.
Binghamton said, and they said it would be easier for the teachers, there'd be more consistency with the students, that's what the argument.
In other states, you have to be 5.
Yes.
Several states you do, and I came from a state that was like that, and I don't know, I understand that they would be more ready. That's my personal opinion.
And DEI had no position, so it's up
So
to.
does this go back to the other thing that says that now that kindergarten would be mandated?
What do you mean by?
No, there was another one in here that says
Oh.
that they'd make it,
Kindergarten is not compulsory, it's not
you also
necessarily.
have to go until first grade.
Oh, got you, I'm
But in
sorry.
here, there was one.
I got
don't know if
That was
Okay. So I know, so if they had to be. So can you wait and go when you're 6, or you have to go when you're 5?
no, I think they have to be at least 5 by September.
No, I
That's just the
get that,
minimum.
I know that we fell on the other side. My daughter was born December 2nd, she was reading at 3. And I wanted her to go, and I got told that,
You had to wait.
and well, that's back when. We'll just say it wasn't a real good experience, one of the very first board meetings I ever went to at this district. It was very condescending, I was just asking questions, and I was a bumpkin from Whitney Point being told.
No, this one wasn't,
So,
didn't, a parent still has the right to hold and, have their child start. at
so to me,
6.
it's the same thing as a minimum wage. You get it on December 2nd, or you get it on September 1st, you're gonna have the same problem, and that 2 months isn't gonna make a difference, I don't think.
However, there's gonna be fewer parents that decide to wait and hold their child to go 6. Then there are going to be parents what will say, oh, I'm gonna let my child go at 4 because now I'm not babysitting service. So I'm sorry, that's a little blunt, but it happens.
But there are a lot of parents that participate in the pre-K programs, which
Right.
does position the kids for a successful kindergarten start. So I'm against this. I think it should stay 12-1 because I fell into that group and I don't think my mom would have been happy to have to wait a whole year. I just, because I was ready, you know, my brother too. So, you know, I've been here at the school district for my whole life, so I'm against it.
I had one of each. I
Yeah,
had one who was born October 6th.
Yep.
And if I had had to wait a year, it would have been detrimental to both of our healths because she needed to be in school.
sure.
Charlotte was born December 9th. She would have handled going to school at 4 just fine. But she also handled going the next year just fine.
Right,
But with Megan, it would have been detrimental for her to have to wait a year.
yeah.
So
In our-
no or yes?
In our school district, can I just ask one quick question? Is there any, if a child is younger, is there any way to ask formally for that child to be, so no?
So it's
that
not
would
our
be-
deadline, we have to follow the same deadline.
Okay, because I didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
we follow
okay.
this. But the reverse though, if you wanna hold your child, like some people.
Yes, so that's
They
fine,
can,
but
they
you can't get in it.
But you
Okay.
can't do that, which is another problem, and I've been in some meetings where people have brought this up, I don't know whether this came up with Tanya, but. If you decide, so let's, you know, historically, sometimes people would wanna keep boys back a year,
That was,
yeah.
but
But so-
teachers too keep a lot of kids, the teachers keep their children back,
Yeah,
a lot do.
and so, but you can't do pre-K then. So if your child is a year behind, it's like they would, you couldn't, you'd have to wait until kindergarten, and you can enter kindergarten late, but you can't enter, under the pre-K rules, you're not allowed to wait a year.
Aged out.
We have a really good pre-K program though, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so the fact that we have that is why I'm against this. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Chris, what's your opinion?
My opinion,
Your opinion.
I like September 1, but that's me.
All right, so where are you at, Tom? Yes or no? No, no, where are you at?
I'm yes.
Yes, where are you at, Eric?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, and where are you at, Tom?
It's not a
Oh my,
formal
we have
vote.
a tie. Where are you at, Steph? No, please and thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on quickly here. 43, I don't need to worry about doing too much here, but this is, that I'm assuming you guys want me to vote yes for this. This is trying to bring, the tier levels to be more consistent. So the equity between the tier levels and retirement is better.
So with the hope that young people would wanna go into teaching.
Teaching,
Yeah, but I don't know, I was looking at it as a tier member. And also as a member that's getting older and seeing the retirement age getting forced on me, getting bumped up. And then because I was forced to retire early, your federal returns, you are penalized. And I don't think people realize that when I was forced, I didn't realize it, that because I went early. But by doing this, you're still promoting the getting out earlier.
well, it was also promoting the funding to increase too.
To allow them to have high dollar for their tier, right?
Right, yeah.
So I was a proponent for this, because I want to encourage people to want to go in this field. So,
I don't think it's gonna pass, but I was for it.
yeah, okay, so Tom, you're a no, which makes sense, I hear what you're saying, are you a yes or no?
I don't know enough about it,
Okay,
so I would defer to people who know more about it, clearly.
Eric, any opinion either way?
Tier 6, yes, I don't.
You are for it, and you, Tom?
I'm with Tom on this, it's one of those, it's a tough sell, I think Chris is right, I don't think it'll pass.
I don't think it'll pass. but we
Okay.
have a voice,
All right.
so I'll say yes.
All right,
And Eric, it's a tier 6, not CSEA, it's a teachers union. tier
Right.
yeah,
six,
this is.
so-
Yeah,
Okay.
teachers union.
State to develop and fully fund climate change curriculum for all public elementary, secondary schools is the next proposal 44.
44.
The majority of our BOCES voted no. They did not want the state to mandate us to teach what we're, the climate change. They want schools to be able to do and teach what they would like to.
I agree with them. No.
No.
I agree as well.
And 40.
Tom.
No, I'm a naturalist, so I'm gonna, but
Okay, so you're a no too, all right.
Now, 45 is an interesting one. What they want here is they want, again, DE has no position on this. They want to be able to allow charter school, non-public school employees to serve on New York State Board of Educations. So this would be like, for example, just to give you a good example, we have the Christian school on Front Street. They would, those employees would be able to serve on New York State Board of Educations, which they are not allowed to right now.
Well, do they have to follow all the rules?
Yeah,
Of the New
they
York
still
State-
have to follow the rules. I mean, do
I
they?
mean, do
They
they
have to
have
follow
to
the same.
currently follow New York State education standards?
The same as public school?
Same as public schools?
No.
no.
The only what's the conflict of interest? What would be the conflict?
They're not under the same rules, so they can be passing rules that they don't have to follow.
Okay.
I mean, in a nutshell, they're not under as strict of a.
And really, the only reason this brought up is because they feel that they're sometimes lacking board members, so they thought they could capture another population.
No, okay, I'm gonna say no on that personally. I don't know what
They're not
everyone-
part of the club, you should be able to vote.
Right.
I think that was it, except for, it was 53, and it was that, the other, it was the mascot thing. Here, they're not against the change, but they really feel that the state should be paying it. So, helping pay school districts that have to change their mascots.
Oh, when we have like Indian, remember they got rid of all that.
So they're opposing this because the state is mandating it without helping them pay for it.
Hoping that's typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want us to change, they should pay for it.
Yeah, that's why they're opposing.
There we go. I'm in agreement with that.
Sorry, that took so long.
All right, no, that was good
It
stuff,
was,
Chris.
I guess it was the longest proposal book that they've had in something like 10 or 15 years.
I remember when that.
It was too much for me to read.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell us what we need to look at.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris, for
Yeah.
taking the lead on this again.
Okay, let's see if we can get these students out of here. Sorry, everybody. Okay, approve the applications for refund and credit of real property taxes pursuant to section 554 of the New York State Real Property Tax Laws. Total warrant changes $3,968.07. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. Second. And a second from Chris. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Approve the following items for disposal at a future Mel Manassi and Son Auctioneers Fall auction. 26-inch Craftsman snow blower, several grown steam kettles, several Continental milk coolers. May I have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. And Chris.
Can steam my milk on. Snowball. Put it all again.
Steam it while you're cooling it. Any questions or comments from the board members? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Whereas the Windy Point Central School District did open for public bid according to general municipal law, the following bid, WP 23-24-08, purchase of a new 550/5500 truck with winter package, and whereas the bids were publicly opened and read on October 3rd, 2023 at 2 p.m. at the BOCE Central Business Office. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools and the purchasing agent that the bid for WP 23-24-08, purchase of a new 550/5500 truck with winter package be awarded to Ferrario Auto Team for the attached rates. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second? Second. Thank you,
Can I
Chris.
ask a question?
Mhm.
So I guess, would you know the stack? I mean, how many people did the bids put out?
So this is the second time we had to go out for bid. We were originally looking for 450. And we got none. But through that process, the dealer did reach out and said they had 550 on their lot. If they could change, if we could change the specs slightly, they would be able to bid on it. That's kind of how we did it.
Who's the
Ferrario.
the purchasing agent?
Oh,
I just want
As
to,
a CBO employee, but she's in charge of basically organizing the bid, contacting vendors, and doing the legal advertising.
Do we have any attached rates?
It should be in supply documentation.
It is.
it's in the, our, documentation that we have loaded for the agenda.
If it's in there.
there is a document that outlines this whole.
Yep, and everything that will be added to it.
Yeah. That was a long one. I like the provisions in there, Hal.
Yeah, I mean, our current plow truck is. It probably would not make.
It's seen better days, Zach,
Yes,
is
it
what
has.
you're saying.
So it was definitely needed, and this one being a little bit larger, we'll be able to get more of the salt sand mix, so it makes a lot of sense. It'll be good going forward for a long time.
Good.
Any other questions from the board? All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Any abstained? Question for the board. It is 8:20. Do we want to allow the students to leave at this point, or do you want them to finish out the rest of the meeting?
they can leave at this point. The students, you can leave, but we need to sign your documents.
Yep, any one of us can sign your
And we
documents.
hope that you want to be a board member in the future.
Please make sure your name is on the document before you give it to us to sign. We will not sign blank ones.
Just make sure your name's on them, guys.
Your half hour you got from the beginning.
Yeah.
They're all here.
They never made us at the meetings back in the day. Well, I think I would have found it interesting. This is a student.
Any one of us can sign them.
I didn't realize it's like that. It's like that. They
Do
were-
I have to sign more?
She would have heard. Some of the parents. I knew her.
We can sign those over here too, guys.
I know, we didn't. have
Thank
to-
you for staying.
Here, Lauren.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay.
Hi, anybody else?
Anyone? Have your dad with us? We sent Dan a note.
Thank you guys for staying.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night. Thank you, you too. We hope you learned something.
Drive safe.
They're like, I only had to come because I was made. I know. Yeah.
No, it's the district phone number, Tom. It's the district phone number. Oh.
Hold on.
Was it 8,300 or 8,200?
I told Molly, I don't know why we.
Nobody else wants to do it.
Well, she just understands it and it's easier for her to explain. Yeah.
The voting is, it's a very long.
Yeah.
It's all virtual now, it's all Zoom.
But I do appreciate that you outlined the key takeaways though, because that was, I started reading it all, I go, okay, she's gonna let us know. Yeah, this is too much. Time read the whole thing.
Okay,
Very bad.
on that note, that brings us to superintendent updates.
So before we do superintendent's update, Zach, you wanna bring up the construction?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't on there, was it?
No, we missed that thing, because again, we were thinking, we had on it before, we did it with the presentation, but we knew we weren't in the presentation. We took it out.
Gotcha.
So we apologize, but we'll go over it right now. So we'll do the capital project update. I think you guys have been used to this monthly spreadsheet. There is an addition on it, which I would like to go through with you. But first you can kind of see some of the stuff, going on this past month. We lucked out with the weather for that beam signing. It was almost so hot, we had to have like a shade tent in order to get through that. But, it was awesome. The kids had a great time. And it was pretty neat because even the Turner Construction Company was saying like the beam was literally right next to the building that they were doing.
I love
The
it.
kids signing could see the beams already up in the pre-K.
That's so cool.
So, every class that came out was very well organized. We kind of told them the history and this beam is gonna go up and this will be the new pre-K classroom forever and.
I love it.
So when they graduate, you're gonna pull this out, right?
It's gonna go into the.
Not the beam.
One of your capsules, right?
Time gap.
No, I mean, the
Time
pictures, the
capsule, right?
pictures of the children, you can pull the
Yeah.
picture out
Yeah.
when they graduate.
Well, that's good, right?
So, just going through some of the other pictures, you can see, again, that's the actual steel installation. Again, every day you go by, a little bit more up there. There's a big push now, obviously, for the pre-K and the pool. We want to get those buildings enclosed before winter. Obviously, so work to progress. Things are a little bit behind, but again, I trust Turner and everything, going on so far. There's no reason to think that won't be, according to schedule. So this was some excitement last week. People love this concrete pouring machine. It's really impressive, but basically they go through, they have the steel crew and they bend the rebar to form the walls. And then they have this concrete truck after truck after truck, pouring. And again, they're really working a lot right now. So it's good to see. Just again, some more pictures of them forming that wall, out around the, CEA pool area. And then this is exciting, for the concession facility. Here's the exterior drywall finishing installation. We're still on track for this to be open, the week of, the 23rd. Again, we have like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be ready for the night game on the 20th.
Yep, so right there's the.
Yep. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
detour real quick to this other video, and I guess we should give a commendation to SRO Mike Kelly, but he also was a certified drone flyer. So anytime we ask him to go take some pictures, he jumps on it. But this was a video he caught, and we're working on an updated newsletter for the community. We'll have some new pictures and whatnot in there. But this video I thought was super cool. And I wish it was talented enough to kind of put like some kind of music drop over it and we'll work on it, but this was a video he thought.
Bill just left. You could have asked them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but like some kind of professional thing would be really cool, but I'm gonna play the video and I'll show it to you.
I could probably put some music to it.
Yeah,
Any of the music teachers know how to do it, Zach?
so end zone to end zone, kind
He
of pointing
did
at the
this with
scoreboard
his drone.
with his
Yeah.
drone. It's super
Amazing.
cool. And
Not
then, I
do the
just,
eagle scream through it.
yeah.
That is
Oh,
awesome.
I just think it's super cool.
It almost looks fake. It's that.
Yeah.
It really-
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's something that we all should be excited about.
It looks like in the dome where they have that cable.
Yes. that's
Yeah.
what we have
Camera
at
that
the
goes right
table.
down the middle.
Amazing.
You're right.
But he was finding the thing all around and, we have to give the construction crews that update or, heads
I
up, hey,
love
we're
it.
having a drone around, but, I think it's pretty cool in the picture.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so it's.
5-year
nice.
project, right, Joanne? This whole capital? Yeah, it's been like 5 years in the making.
Exactly. You take Camtasia, it's free software. You upload that video, you add the soundtrack, and slide the bars back and forth.
Oh, there we go.
Nothing's that easy.
Zach, tell us.
My kids could probably, do it. I don't think it is really.
Zach, tell us what song you
I
wanted
do it all
to.
the time.
Yeah, tell us what song you want. Think of a song and we'll zip it over to you.
How about the board members singing?
They don't want to hear us.
Word of the USA, I think. I don't know, that's
Right,
cool,
right.
That'd be
I
awesome.
love it. That's awesome.
All right. So again, just real quickly, I think really the meat of what we want to go through for this, report is gonna be the back page of this one, that's something new. So you guys had a chance to look at all this, again, I kind of went through it, everything is still kind of progressing on schedule, minus the big push is to get those buildings enclosed for the pre-K edition and the pool. Again, we're knocking out a lot of, checks and paying vendors, and again, that stuff is progressing as it should. What I want to go through, this is the first time you guys have seen this type of report. We had, I believe, the one change order that has gone through Now required board approval because it was over that $20,000 threshold.
Mhm.
I think you remember we had a discussion before, the project really kind of got kicked off to give the superintendent the, approval to, again, approve anything under 20,000 to keep the project moving and progressing, but we obviously said all those change orders will get eventually back to you guys to see what's going on. So that's what this report is, and what they kind of do is they group a few things together. You know, because otherwise you'd be seeing way more little tiny ones that are, you know, just kind of nitpicky. So they look for similar things, they group them together. These are how they get sent to SED for approval. But again, as far as official approval, Joanne signed these ones because they were under that threshold. It's a little hard to see on here, so I'm gonna actually go off the paper copy, but if you want me to explain it better, I'll try to put it up there. So it's going through them. Again, they're listed really by contractor. Pachano and Sons, there, and so, you know, so here we group 3, change orders together, MCO1, MCO4, MCO5. And total amount was 9,000. And some of these, again, just where you're going through the project, basically, they may see something where they say, hey, you know,
While we're in there.
while you're in there, you know,
Right.
you had none of these shut offs. That's
Right.
kind of odd because we can add them for you, and that way in future, if you ever have a line break, you're not scrambling, or you know, you have just the additional kind of shut off valve.
So these are outside scope of work, they're
Yep.
change orders based on new findings, like that weird thing they had with the tile.
Some, we'll go through, some are,
Some were like
yeah,
that.
they're
and
brought to us, like, this can improve,
Yeah.
right? And others are misses.
Misses,
So we'll get
okay.
through those too.
Yeah.
So yeah, like install duct and piping insulation above the corridor ceilings, so we bought that in the project, we bought new ceiling grid. And they took it all down, they're like, you guys really have no insulation up there, which even Turner Construction, were like, yeah, that's very odd, you guys really should insulate it. So we get the proposal, they cost it out, they say, yep, that looks adequate, you guys should probably do that.
Okay,
So that's like a recommendation based off of them looking at something. And again, just install low point and drain. We had a really long supply line that was just flat, and same kind of, you know, just expertise over time that really needs to have a pitch. That's what they do. We went with that. Again, just moving down. Some of these, again, there's just unknown issues when they're trying to find something, and a lot of times they end up using cameras, they find various other things, but that one specifically, camera exiting conduit to find location damage. And this was annoying. Last project, we knew going to the concession stand, we were going to have a conduit run because we didn't want to tear up our new parking lot. So we put that in last project, knowing that we would have that in place. Well, we put in the conduit, and at some point in that 5-year period, it got damaged.
Oh,
So it
geez.
probably got damaged installation. It's one of the things we just never know
Yeah.
until we went to go use it and we couldn't. So then they had to scope it. They had to find out where it went bad. They, you know, again, then there's a patch out there in the concrete where they had to drill down, fix it, and we were able to get it. So again, annoying because I think we all knew we were trying to be proactive and do that, and it still ended up being a change order. So
But it was less than if we had had to dig up the whole
It was.
parking lot to put in the.
Yep. And again, who knows how it happened, right? That's the thing, you can't pinpoint it at this point, but.
You're looking at the drone and dropped it off the truck.
Yeah, you never know, you know, so just moving on, next one, this one has a lot grouped together, Evans Mechanical. Sort of plumber, cost install temporary water feed the bus garage, so we had the big, again, trying to initially do this project, we knew we were gonna run the water line, we were tearing up that back access road. We needed a new hydrant. This all made sense when we were looking at doing the bus wash. We still knew we had to do this eventually, even for the water pool, there was issues with it. For whatever reason, there was never, they did not prepare in the drawings for a temporary water feed. Because obviously we were without water for 2 days and that needed to be done because we still had workers in that building. So something like that, again, small, cost to add a laundry sink, again, it's just a random thing where it's brought to our attention, hey, you're renovating this room. You really should have this sink in there. If it wasn't in the drawings, you should add it. Again, all these little things kind of add up. Cost to add a floor drain, again, it was just, you know, technically, could you live without it? Yep, they're like, you really should have a floor drain in here, so we get it. Cost the camera system, drainage piping, for gym storage room. Again, an issue just in pool renovation, we're trying to figure out, a leak. So again, we have the plumber already on site, they already have the equipment. This is one, if it wasn't a project, we would have just hired a plumber to come out and do it. They were here. We said, while you're here, can you figure out what the problem is? Let's fix it. And then like this was a miss, but you know, I don't want to ever say it's someone's fault. Cost of patch terrazzo threshold at entrance of new door opening main office. So we had this main office reconfiguration all planned for. It was literally when they were removing a door frame, there was a piece of floor that had to come out, and it, in order to match everything else, it was literally like a 2-inch strip of terrazzo that had to be put in. You know, cost wise, it was minor, but it's one of those things, if you don't do it,
It's just.
and no one does anything for free, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's kind of
okay.
those things where
Yes.
it just had to be done. Again, off that another floor drain. Oh, this was one over at the bus garage. That's actually wrong, yeah, so I'm sorry. So PC Evans Mechanical says section facility, see, that really is bus garage. We got a new oil separator at the bus garage, which was desperately needed. It still had sludge in it that was built up, and the way the DEC basically makes you get rid of it, there's a cost to it, and that's why we got a new one. It fills up, we have to have a certified company come in and pump it. When we got a new one, the old one had this built up sludge that no one really knew what would be in there. And that was the cost to get rid of it. So it's just one of those things. It's unfortunate. Tom will probably know more about it than me, but basically up at the bus garage, there's always a separator, right? And it's supposed to, it fills up with the stormwater, whatever it is. We're paying about $2,000 a month to remove it. And it kept getting filled up quicker. So we were happy to get this fixed. But again, when they went to remove the old one, they're like, hey, you got this build up sludge in here that's been here for God knows how long.
But if it's spilled and it caused problems, it'd be a lot, it'd be
Yeah.
really, really bad.
So yeah, we just maybe had to pay it. Going through FOS, that's all our site stuff. All in all, really, for what we did down there at Times in the Field, very minimal, in my opinion, on the change orders for, I mean, literally, it was like a $5 million, you know, renovation we did down there. If you look at the total dollar amount change order, it's pretty small. Cost to add additional communication box in the field, again, just increased sound, cost to clean out existing dry well, again, they found a dry well. You know, we know these things, but again, clean it out to do it proper, small cost. And they're grouped together, so I hate to tell you exactly how much it is, but additional field equipment, additional track markings, credit to the elite vinyl fence cap. This is part of the project, like we bought, you know, a certain goalpost system that integrates with the field. They said, yep, that's according to spec, but really, if you want something like the best or something a little better, you can upgrade. It's $2 or $3 grand.
Gotcha.
So these are some of the upgrades that we just choose to, it makes more sense. And that's probably, you know, when they're explaining to us like, yep, you're probably gonna need 2 people every day to have to put this down, put it up every time you want to play a different game or whatever. Or you can have this system where, you know, one person can do it and it's, you know, we get the explanation. That's what we base our decision on to be part of it and move forward.
Okay.
Again, vinyl fence cap was something we bought in the project. It would have been nice, but again, when we actually knew what that was, it was really going to be a bee insect trap. So we wanted to get rid of it. We didn't need it.
I was surprised the cost to install sidewalk around building wasn't in the initial.
Yeah, that's again, could be argued a miss.
Just that there were a few things on here I was actually surprised.
Yeah, and this goes where you have different contractors, right?
Yes.
So we have a site contractor who's doing all work down there in every sidewalk in every single paving area.
Mhm.
And then we have our GC, our general contractor, who's building the building.
Yeah.
All right, so on the drawing for the site contractor, it didn't actually have those sidewalks, but they weren't on for the GC.
The GC,
contractor
okay.
either.
Right.
So they were kind of saying, well, you know, we'll do it, but blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They're not on our drawings. and
Sure.
FOS's, well,
Right.
site contractor's like, well, they weren't on
Right.
ours either.
Yeah.
Clearly, there was meant to be a sidewalk. but
Right, makes
You
sense.
get into the finger pointing game, well, who can really tell who it is?
Right,
We needed it done. FOS was already doing all the other sidewalks down there. You just go with FOS, not the upstate, because otherwise then you risk having 2 different concrete, installers.
Right, and the way
It's
it's set up, right, mhm.
So it's one of those things, in the order to move forward, yeah, go ahead and just bill us for it, T&M, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And move on, but yeah, that one. Was argued for a bit.
Yeah,
These three.
Yeah,
That one.
the cost of modified parking lot, grades and drainage, again, this is one that was brought to our attention. Yeah, they repaved the bus area, the compound, but not all of it. And-
so are you talking about the parking lot grades and
Yep.
drainage?
Yep, and so basically, again, this is the site contractor
Mm-hmm,
coming to us, going to architect, the construction manager saying, hey, you guys only bought this, but you guys should go out an extra 15 feet. It'll make a huge difference in how, the water is running in the
Mhm.
parking lot. And you don't have these weird little angles of new asphalt versus old.
yeah.
So it's one of those
So
where,
the way it reads, I thought they had to regrade it.
Mm-mm.
yeah, well, it was a part of the compound we didn't buy.
Cost
So,
of modified parking lot grades.
Yeah, so it was a.
Oh, so the
Wasn't even
modified,
part.
the additional part was modified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing had to be modified.
No.
Savings expensive. Yeah, and going forward, cost of time gutters, underground storm system, again, one I thought was a miss, you can argue however you want to, but concession facility built, we have the roof. No idea where that water's draining off the roof.
Yeah.
So-
If they go to the bathroom.
We have all
they
that
take a
kind
shower.
of there.
It ends up somewhere, it all goes downhill.
Again, we didn't want it pulling anywhere, so
No.
we get it tied in right to the underground, stormwater system.
Mhm.
That's the cost, it ends up being for a project, unfortunately. We lost some parking, just with what they did with the paving and the pre-K addition.
Mhm.
We did see an opportunity to add back 6 or 7 parking spots. It seems like a lot of money, when you look at it, but in reality, we need every spot we can back there, especially when sports are going on.
That's what I was just gonna ask where that came
Yeah,
from.
so
Okay,
again, it's a big number for sure, but
yeah,
those parking spots are worth it. It really is a premium back there. Cost to install stone packer storage units. If you guys noticed the football field, we got these 2 really nice storage verters in the back.
yep,
We didn't want them just on grass,
right.
so we bought those through the district funds, but then.
The
because
storage units, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Spots
okay.
had all the equipment on site. They said they could grade it and put, nice stone pad down
Oh,
for us.
good
That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
And then, cost of drainage of parking lot, bus garage.
So Zach, real quick on this, is there anything that's identified on here that is like a true miss that we would like wanna go back and negotiate, or at this time, it's just one of those things where there's multiple contractors involved in the project and there's like a fine line of who should have caught it? Like what we
I
just
think-
talked about with the sidewalk, for
Yep.
example.
I was trying to be as honest as I can. Some I think are misses.
Uh-huh,
Everyone has an opinion and a leg to stand on in these types of arguments of
Okay.
why it was their fault, not their fault.
okay.
In reality, for these costs being so minimal, this isn't really where you want to. pick your
Compared
fight.
to the overall cost of the big project,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But this is where these minimals
Yeah.
start eating away at your budget, and I see that, I was just looking, our total budget. For the project, and then the incidental budget. So, I see for the change management, the change orders.
Mhm.
It appears that we have enough remaining to hopefully cover any additional change orders through the duration of the project to next year.
I think, so, yeah, that's a great.
The only,
cost to
I
look
just
at.
get a little worried because if you look at what's still remaining, again, I'm just pointing this out. We have the final completion of the TRA renovations. The CEA UPK addition and playground. And then we also have the overall completion of the entire project and then the pool. So big picture, I'm looking, I got my project management hat on here. I'm kind of a little nervous about, are we gonna fall short overall big picture financially on any potential change orders that could occur from now until 2024. I know you don't have a magic ball or
No,
anything, but
it-
those are some things
Yeah.
I would just, approach.
We're in a great
Turner.
spot, honestly. So
If you've seen our old capital projects, This
No,
is
these-
not.
By the way, these guys are amazing.
And don't listen, to them. They never pay for anything that was not done right. And never has happened, and never will happen, so
Alright.
just,
Yeah,
okay, I will go forward.
no, it's okay.
So the unencumbered contingency is 69% at this point, the product is amazing.
Yeah.
Basically, you look at it, all the primary site work is done. And
Okay.
that's where you get a lot of your unknown,
Yeah.
change orders that pop up.
Yeah,
So the fact we have the Thompson Field basically done.
yes, that was a
Pool
big
and
one.
the pre-K site work
Okay.
basically done, that's a great thing. to do
All right.
now.
That's when you find the 4,000 gallon,
Yeah.
septic
barrel.
tank.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We're-
you're
we're in a good
feeling
spot.
comfortable overall with
Yeah,
your,
we talk about this monthly.
Okay.
Again, everyone's in a good spot. Again, even their numbers, we're gonna be conservative.
Yeah.
So yeah, going through that summer work with everything going on down there, and that's where we're at, it's a good spot.
yeah, and I'm impressed with this company in general. They've done a fabulous job.
Well,
I love
yeah.
their updates and how
Yeah.
detailed they are.
I agree, and they don't even bring like these types of things to me and Joanne right away, because they know
They've
the
already
sticker
been-
shock would
They,
be.
they're doing this first. I
Yes,
love it.
And they get it
And that's-
down as. much as
Okay,
they
good.
can.
I
They-
love
they're-
that. And then they come to
As they
you.
should.
Yes.
I mean, really,
They need to
Yeah.
fight for us and say, whoa, this is
there
what
are-
wasn't negotiated, or this is what we expected to be included. And then they come to you with their best number.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
that's good.
Yep.
Yeah, and the good news is I'm glad we're not holding anything up for 20,000 or less.
Yep.
That was a very good decision.
Yep,
Okay,
I
nice job. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Very excited about the restrooms and concession stand.
Yeah.
Sorry.
tested the lights?
Yep, they tested them last week. So we're in a good spot. Yeah, so the lights were here, that was the biggest hurdle for the night game. Again, right now, we told them priorities, the restrooms, which they feel very comfortable about. We're also sneaking in there, we really would like to have the concession stand open as well. So it's about the manpower and what they're trying to do, but I think
For homecoming.
perfect world, I'd love to be able to use all of the facility for that day.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Okay. You want to say something? I want to say thank you, Murphy. You have been a juggling wizard. And especially with everything that's been happening with the teams and the sports and have to move here, there, everywhere. I just want to thank you for all of that, and especially for the swim team. Especially since I have a granddaughter who loves being on the team, even though it's a small team, and I want to thank the coach for everything that she is doing by driving the team off-site to go to practice and everything, and I want that to be known. So, and I have one, maybe, small expense. I'm not happy with the CEA office. I feel like that poor one secretary is in a hole back there.
What don't you like when you first walk in?
No, it's the one, she's like back in the corner and she's just, I don't know if we can do something furniture wise or. And I was as bold to say, do you feel like you're in a corner?
Not all the furniture is in quite yet, some of it. was
Yeah,
temporary.
so I'm just hoping that it's a little more, I don't know, maybe furniture, I don't know, something. It just felt like. Like she's in
We would
there.
never say no to furniture requests first, but again, I mean, the purpose was to improve security of.
I know, but I just felt like so bad for her, like, she just got room to sit there and do this.
I haven't been in there the month, so.
So anyhow,
Okay.
I'm just voicing what I saw. All right, let's let Joanne do the superintendent's update.
It'll be quick. So I was gonna say homecoming game, 10:28. I'm very excited. We actually, pushed it out the last possible moment with the hope that we'd have lights and bathrooms. So it looks like that's gonna all come together. We're very excited about that. Code of conduct, first meeting, is gonna be November 1st, 3:30 to 5. If anybody would like to come to that, I know it's, I know we would do it at night, but we want, staff to be able to come too, so we're trying to do an in-between time. We'll have some food to kind of keep people.
sorry, what day was it?
What November
November
1st is
1st, 3:30 to 5. I'll send you a reminder also.
Three,
Thank you.
3:30 to 5.
Yeah,
Now, wasn't that a committee you were gonna do, or is it?
Yes.
Okay, cause I wanna be on.
yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
All right, I'm putting it down.
Okay, great. The athletic committee is gonna meet on 10/13. We have an application, a proposal for the addition of a sport. So that will happen, that is this Friday at 2:15. A question was raised regarding serve safe food handling training at our last meeting. I've asked the Department of Health twice, I just resent it again, to say, what's the answer, whether we need to do that or not. The first response I got was they didn't think so, and I said, can you please check? So,
Did you get their name and title?
yeah, well, yes, the person in charge, so,
Wow.
and I asked around other schools and they don't do the training. It seems like there's an online training now that you just do that. I mean, we've not done that internally for things here before, so, you know, I think we're gonna have to assess. The problem is that we have lots of people. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, save you a little bit on that. I did get conversation with Department of Health this afternoon. Ben from Broome County Department of Health said it is recommended that someone that's in the concession area have it, but they do not require it.
Yeah.
He said it's good practice to have it, but they can't ding us for not having someone there that's not trained. It's
Because we have this system now where it's a rotation of people going through and it'd be hard to get everybody trained. So what I was thinking is if we have somebody go do it and then maybe we can have a version that we make sure we give everybody the basics.
like a train the trainer
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, you can keep it
I
simple.
know
Yeah.
that, I know that,
Like pictures and basic.
BOCES, the food service has to do it, they have training that they have to do. And then I think Cooperative Extension does it too, like does it.
So maybe there's like you know what I mean? Like, we want every club advisor, I mean, that would be a lot.
No, that's too
Yeah.
much.
No, but having, say, Lisa do it and then coming up with
Just
the
like
protocols for, I mean, cause that's
Yeah.
what I did, is that I did the training and then I came up with the protocols that people had to follow when they were handling food. And you can make little signs.
That's what I was
down
gonna
there.
say, what about a sign with
Little
just
signs,
this,
this is
like
what you
food
do.
temperatures
Yeah,
and basic.
that actually should be, said when the facility gets inspected, that actually gets hung in there.
I would suggest a sign off sheet for whoever uses it, just the basic facts, you know.
Yeah.
Don't keep hot stuff cold, don't keep cold stuff hot, wash your
Basic
hands
stuff,
after
just
scratching
simple.
your ear.
That's just, it's really interesting how hard they were picking it.
Only if
And
you're
they-
eating.
It's a
How
new
hard they-
facility, you get a 30-second rule on that.
And basically, they just dropped the whole thing. I mean, they were making it where everybody had to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, so now it's basically,
That's too much.
yeah.
They couldn't.
I'd say
I mean,
just a little
if-
sign off sheet for anytime somebody uses it.
Yeah.
The basics, hey, okay.
But I
We
mean,
acknowledge
the
it.
health of people that are eating food, I mean, it's just.
I like to eat dirt.
Sorry.
surprising.
Also, the, just as an FYI, the group type of BOCES is proposing, a building project. And they are doing a tour, Stacey, did you?
I did reach out to them and haven't heard back yet.
Okay, so they would like to come and present each school board because school boards have to vote to approve it. And it's a pretty thorough presentation, so just to keep that on your radar in case you hear other board members from other districts talking about that, that's what that is.
I remember back when they did their.
What's
Across the street.
They're gonna do like some upgrade, like a building project, but for them, because it's a consortium, we need to all approve.
Catch up. Okay.
And then also, just for your information, Coughlin and Gerhard is part of a number of school districts are getting involved in a social media class action suit. For the damages and costs related to districts and for managing fallout from all the things that happen in the social media. And so they are also coming to boards and sharing information about that. So if you're interested in hearing about that, you can do that. We're part of, there's a firm in New York City that they just had a class action suit against, was it Jewel? It was Jewel, and they actually got a huge settlement. And all the districts who signed on to that, so if you'd like, they'll come and talk to us about that.
Would you like that? I'd be open
Yeah.
to that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I was on a call about it, you know, it's changed life in schools.
Oh, yeah,
tremendously.
my friend's a sales rep for Jewel
Mhm.
in Florida, and she told me about this lawsuit.
I would hope they use the money for what it should go for.
Mhm.
I mean, all these people, it's just free money and it really should be used.
Yeah, she
Like
told
the
me.
tobacco money should have been used and all kinds of other stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do it, but I think we should.
Okay, all right, I think that's.
Okay, that brings us to our second opportunity for comments from the public. I am not going to read the statement again because I think that everybody can remember what was said. So is there anybody who would like to speak at this point during the meeting? Okay, this brings us to Board of Education comments. I am gonna remind people that while we need to discuss this stuff, due to the time and the fact that we have, you know, especially our employees who have had the principals who have been here for a long day, let's try to be as concise as possible. First up is, the comments from the public, which Stacy gave all of us, printouts of what everybody did. I basically took what Molly sent and I took what Chris sent and I kind of combined them. The only thing I changed really from Molly's was instead of a maximum of 45 minutes, I put 30 minutes. And just put it in a format that makes it easier to read, as opposed to just having it in a.
This is your combined one right here.
Yeah, one that says SBC edit, sorry. Obviously, we can still change this, but I just thought it would help us with the discussion to, because I like parts of both of theirs. And how they were expressed. And I do realize that a lot of that verbiage was taken from other school districts as well.
Yeah.
So if you guys could take a quick look at that. And let me know what edits you would like. I'm kind of hoping we can get this in place before the next meeting. Because I don't want to say the long statement anymore. It's not accurate anymore and it's long and I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult for people to really listen and understand what we're saying because it is so long at this point. It served its purpose when we started using it, but we're not at that point.
Is the public, can they get the agenda sooner than the time of the meeting? Is that, Stacy?
I'm sorry,
I
what?
don't know. Is it posted online, the agenda, which I should have, I didn't notice before?
For the public?
Yeah, like in advance.
Yes.
So, yeah. Cause I
Yeah,
thought,
It
There
has
has
to
to be enough
be,
time.
within 24 hours.
okay, so that's.
So if
that's
we have a
enough
meeting
time
on
to see.
Tuesday, it gets posted on Monday.
Yeah, okay,
I did put, because of the holiday, I posted it Friday before the public.
okay, yeah.
Just
So that's
you
plenty.
all
of
know,
time.
this bare bonesy one is from before we had the lengthy one.
Yeah,
That's
Okay.
what we used to have in
The comments from the public, this one.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought, I was like, this looks just like something we used to use. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it is,
Mhm.
and prior to that, we used nothing. We just said comments from the public have at it. I do think that there is merit though to saying a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
I do like splitting up the two opportunities into two specific purposes.
I don't like that going forward, the Board of Education has
Yeah.
adapted how we entertain comments. I don't like that at all.
And neither did I.
Oh,
but-
okay, all right.
But that was me. I
Okay.
just, and the intent was to come up with some sort of statement for the first couple of agendas. To
Okay,
introduce, to signify that this is a new process,
so
so.
adapted a new process. Yeah.
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
don't know.
Chris.
At the top of mine, I said, well, maybe we can use a piece of that, Stacy. That maybe, something about the Board of Education that, has adopted. Cause it's not a dialogue or discussion, but an opportunity for the board to hear from the stakeholders.
There you go.
Well,
Something
that's in the last. Well, I'm just wondering if maybe if you move that up there, it just might.
And that's
fit
fine.
there. Yeah, and all I meant for it to do was just be an introduction to the first couple of agendas that we are changing the format in terms of the first opportunity is period of public comment, to be for items we're addressing that night that are on the agenda, and the second one, the voice of the public, is for any concerns, issues relating to the school district. Certainly, please recraft that that first statement, because it was just. What are you looking for?
So if people are here, because it's gonna happen, they might not know what's on the agenda, they wanna talk. I mean, they're gonna have to let us know what they're gonna talk on, and somebody's gonna have to look through and see if it's now or later. I'm just saying that's gonna happen,
Yeah, and that's fine.
and no, and it is fine, I'm just saying. that
Yeah,
we
well, that's
have to
why I
know that-
mentioned at the top of mine, there was two.
Right,
options.
right.
Yeah.
Right,
But if you say that it's a comment on what's on the agenda and they don't know what's on the agenda. And they just came to talk, because you know that's how people are gonna come. It just, then they're gonna have to be redirected.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be part of the time,
Make sure.
but they're gonna
they'll
get up
know
and
that's
start
the
and you
second
say, sit back down, because you
Mhm.
can't do that now.
Yep.
Okay,
Well, I mean, it's, it does say, the board requests that each speaker states their name,
Okay.
address, and topic of discussion. And if their topic of discussion is something that is, and they're doing it during the first opportunity and it's not on the agenda, we can just politely say, we are going to ask you to hold your comments for the second opportunity, as the first one is intended specifically for agenda items.
And if
no,
you're
it's
still
exactly,
using-
no,
yeah.
that's exactly, but I'm just saying that it's gonna be a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can reiterate when you say this, like if this
Yeah.
first section is about,
Yeah.
items regard on the agenda. Yeah.
I'm just looking for where the rough parts are, I'm not criticizing, I'm just
No,
saying
okay.
that, I'm trying to see where it might be a problem.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's why I wanted to have some sort of opening statement to start with, of just saying, that we have changed things up. So if anybody would like to craft that little,
I kind of like what Molly had, the Whitney Point Board of Education, we don't have to do that, but. Welcomes public comment at 2 designated periods during the open meeting. The first period will be the public comment on agenda items, which you so maybe the first sentence would be Whitney Point Board of Education welcomes public comment at 2 designated periods during the open meeting.
okay,
Yeah,
I did the same thing at my eyes.
Yeah.
There are two options for public comment. I was doing this while I was emailing with.
No,
Tom, so-
it's,
So I knew that was
No.
not,
it's fine, I
Yeah.
just, right? So it just makes it more
Yep.
clear, our purpose is to make it clear.
Yep.
Short, sweet, to the point.
got it.
And I like the bullet points too, because that was something that I would have preferred in mind, because that's just easier to see. and
Exactly,
stand out.
I was just thinking
So,
of as somebody who
Instead of
has to,
paragraphs,
and as somebody who has to read it, it's easier to read it with it.
yeah, and it's easy to glance at it, looking at the agenda.
Yeah.
And just read it quick, yes.
Yep. I'm okay with taking out the statement of us, of people being kind and courteous, but I think we should also see how things go, because we know that there are times that people do need to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
I tried to reword it, I know, I tried to say,
Oh, we're
be
in,
courteous, respectful, and civil mannered, keeping in mind that differing opinions don't take away one's ability to be kind and considerate.
yeah, I think it's unfortunate if we have to say that, but I would be a proponent of not having it. And then if,
And if we have an issue, I have no problem speaking up and saying,
Right.
the expectation is when you're speaking is that you are kind and considerate to others and their opinions, and please just continue that.
Right.
I think if we can go with as least as we can go with, and like I tell my children, I'm as nice as you let me be.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you let me be nice, I'll be nice, and there's not a lot, but I have to add more.
And
This will keep it simple.
just
Comments
my
directed at the Board of
suggestion,
Education should be made in a
May-
courteous, respectful, and civil manner.
Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, Chris,
no, that's fine,
Next.
I don't know, should we just try to implement it, or should we make a public announcement next, even though you'd have to read the other one? No, I make an announcement that here, we're gonna be. No, I think we need to just implement it, because.
Yeah, I do too.
Because we're just gonna keep continuing pushing it off and pushing it off, and,
It's fine, yeah.
you know,
what are you guys' thoughts on having someone basically pre-register to speak?
I don't
Been-
I don't like that.
no, I hesitate to do that
No.
right off, if it becomes necessary, we can request that.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that. I think it's because we're asking people to stand and state their topic when they begin. You know, we can redirect people if it's like, if they stand up during the first option and it's not an agenda item, we'll respectfully request that they wait until the second opportunity. But
That's a big one comment on that.
Yeah.
I just see that being an issue, to be honest.
Why?
Because you have someone that may come here waiting for board meeting. And then all of a sudden they're here at 6, and then they have to wait 2.5 hours later for their second opportunity. I don't think that's, I'd be pretty irritated. by
older
people.
And if it
Two
wasn't
of them
that
say,
so many districts are doing that, I would feel the same way, but there are many districts who are following that same model. And
Mr. Clock here today, his topic was harmless, didn't have anything to do with the agenda. You would have had to wait till 8:30 to speak.
Yeah.
well, I was just gonna bring that up as, do we need to change any length?
I'm with Zach on this. I don't think people should have to wait. I don't
And
like,
I'm fine with that, that was what,
It's just
what had been
Agreed.
suggested.
The reason
that we do.
the reason I suggested and other, well, wasn't just, I didn't come up with this.
I know.
someone else did. If we have ideas, you know, on the current agenda, before we go into discussion about them, that we can hear what the public has to say. So that's why. And as far as sitting through a meeting, yeah, it's boring, but it's our meeting. And so the public doesn't have to attend. And I don't know, when I go to a public governmental meeting, I sit through the entire thing. I don't come and go because, you know, I think it's rude. That's my personal opinion, and I wouldn't come to say something unless it was really important and I would sit.
And we
That's
have to remember that a school board meeting is a meeting held in public. It
Right.
is not a public meeting. And while we do want to hear everybody's input, we also, again, have to be mindful of the fact that it's now after 9 o'clock. We still have several other things to discuss tonight.
It's a long meeting.
And it is a long meeting, and I know that there are other school districts who routinely have 4 or 5 hour meetings. But,
We have 2 meetings a month.
yes, that's true
and
too.
but also have 4 and 5 hour meetings twice a month.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, I want to be cognizant of our time,
Mhm.
the public's time, the employees' time, their time, so. I mean, whatever you guys decide that you want to do on that. And
Stacy.
I was gonna say, Stacy, I know you have a thought.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what if it were switched? Because if someone, say, has a question or thought on an agenda item, that might be answered once the agenda has been gone through. And then they may not have that question or comment anymore. Not that
That's a good point.
it is not a question and
Yeah,
answer section, but if they have something to say, maybe it's already addressed once the agenda item.
I say we try it, and
Yeah.
see what happens, so switch them up.
I think it switch them up and, yeah, I mean, I think that, I hear what Molly
Or
said.
just not have,
just not have it separated.
Just,
yeah,
I'm kind of for not having it separated.
I'm for not having two then.
Right, just one. just having one comment period. So, but the problem with that, again, is what if we.
Something gets brought up during the meeting that now they have a question.
And now the public has a question, this is tough because I understand what Zach's saying. And this is a long meeting to sit through and some people are really sitting through it for a purpose. But then in the same breath, I understand we're not having the meeting for the public. This is for us to
Right.
discuss business. I have that.
Yeah, no, I know.
But there's also that piece of me that a lot of people will come to the board meeting because they really want to say something that's on their mind in a public setting.
Yeah.
So the whole board hears it, but they might not want to wait 3 hours to do that. So
Well,
I'm on the fence here.
why can't we do the beginning for the public and then the agenda at the end? Because if somebody is really got something seriously they want to talk about that was on the agenda, they would have that opportunity. But if they don't, then there's no second public comment.
I
How
like,
about just a clause that says this is the suggested guideline, variations or exceptions can be made under extenuating circumstances.
Or the other thing we can do is we do the 30 minutes at the beginning and we explain that that the second session will be shorter.
I like Chris's idea. I mean, I would be for that. Did you say you were okay with that?
And then try it.
I mean, it,
I
right,
still like two.
right. She is still saying two though. It would be switched around.
Can we ask them if anybody has any input?
They want to go home.
I know they do, but there was a little conversation out there. Curious to see if anybody has any input.
Conversation with the audience. That's the thing.
I'm just listening to them.
Well, I was gonna
We're
mention
elected
that
to do. so.
I've been on the board for
Kinda
a long
liked it.
time, you've been on the board for a long time. Other than last, a couple of years.
The COVID thing, right?
There hasn't been a lot of people having lots of comments. Most
Right.
people, you look out there and there's nobody.
Right,
So I don't know. I mean, during COVID, it became more of a issue.
right.
But I don't know, the time I've been in, the time I don't remember.
I would agree with you. too.
Every once in a while, there's been meetings where something might come up, but most of them are just,
It's minimal.
That's
they-
why the
and-
agenda at the bottom, it's there if it's there.
I don't know.
Read it.
I mean, part of me is just like, whatever you used to do, it's like,
I would
you're trying
say,
to fix something.
I would
that's
say,
not necessarily-
yeah, I would say just,
Other than the big, long intro,
right,
Okay, so let's do this. We'll still have 2 opportunities.
okay,
We'll still do 3 minutes, 3 minutes/30 minutes.
okay,
We will not split it up between agenda and non-agenda items.
okay.
Get a timer on the board. Yeah, we do
Yeah.
need to have a timer, a visible
I
one.
just think that is more inviting,
Inviting,
seems
yes.
more
and saying-
hospitable to people that
Right.
have made the effort to come.
Yeah,
If I wanna
And I
talk
agree.
and I'm nervous, I don't wanna talk now, but now I heard other people, now I will.
right.
Or, oh, you brought something up, I wasn't even planning on
Mhm.
talking today, I wanna do it later, I know myself, I would wanna be able to have a little bit of flexibility, so.
Yeah, no,
Whatever we
I
decide.
totally agree, and the only reason why I included this,
Yep.
is the split line, because we had been tossing that around.
Yep.
But
I would also advocate to remove people's address. I don't want to speak and give my address out.
no, it's just where they live, like
Okay.
Whitney Point.
Well, when
Triangle.
you say address, so maybe residency,
That's fine.
Yeah.
okay, if you're okay, because I know when I came to a board meeting, you
Yeah,
guys said resident, would not be
Yeah,
rattling
no,
off my
the
address.
point on that is so that we can assess if this person is speaking as a community member.
Okay, because I like that better.
Or as we had
Okay.
happened during COVID, we had people coming from other districts.
Okay,
To.
so residency as opposed to address, you're okay with.
That's,
Okay.
oh, yeah.
Other than that, everything was
Town.
fabulous.
Town
Did
would
you
be
get all
better than
those?
just
Your
saying,
town,
"Oh,
they
my
think-
resume," 'cause that doesn't.
Well, you could be a,
No, I'm not,
Yeah.
if you're talking Winnie Point School District, it's like, well,
Okay.
where, at least.
right, okay,
Let's board document.
thank
No.
you.
So that's what.
Okay, our next item up for is sample board goals and objectives. I did receive something in my training last week that had sample goals and training. What I would like to have for our next meeting is for everybody to take a look through that. And Stacy, could you possibly resend our goals from last year as an
Yes.
example? I would like everybody to come to our next meeting with some proposed goals for the next year. And then we can discuss which ones we are going to follow. Remember, we can't have we should not have 12 goals for the year. 3 to 4 goals for a year is really kind of a good thing, and we will be using Super Eval to track those goals and our work on them. Okay, last, I have 2 more quick things. Board docs. Opinion?
Loved it.
Does somebody have the cost on them?
Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't want to ask out. What's that price?
It was like 2,000?
2,500 a year or something.
No, for board docs.
Well, it depends on which one you go with.
So the one you presented tonight, do you know what version that was? Was that the higher end? Because they didn't
Say which version.
He didn't
was.
say. No, I think that was the light. I think that if we
There's a
start
light and there's like a super.
adding more things in, can we get a cost analysis of it?
I had it last meeting, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I know.
I feel like it was like 2,500. It wasn't much.
I think that's
Is
about-
it in our minutes?
Some time ago.
You know, one was 10,000.
Yeah, one
Oh,
was like.
that was super Val if we did
No,
like
2,000.
administrators and.
No, the pro is 10,000.
Yeah.
Board docs was, yeah.
Whoa, I don't want that one. Hopefully the light,
Saying that before.
hopefully the
like,
light
holy
was
cow.
2,500.
I think, Stacy will have to get you information. We don't want to say anything.
Yeah, because I don't know, the light is not
We can
gonna.
find out what that version
I
was.
would like to know what he presented.
Yeah.
My
Same.
guess is he presented to us the expensive one.
Well, they always do. I should have asked that.
And is any of that, will we be reimbursed?
They mentioned 2 different funding sources, one through BOCES or one through.
One through NISBA. I
Right.
wrote it
So
down.
We'd have to look at that as well.
And I think our aid for BOCES was 89%.
It's 83, 84.
I'm not
Even
sure
board
that,
costs,
maybe he said it wrong.
What's that?
I think-
even board costs, oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
That's okay. I think it's NISBA sponsors them, like they say we sponsor them. I don't think they give any money toward it. It's the BOCES that does it.
Right. They sponsored.
I
it
think
before.
is how it
Well,
works.
he did say that some school districts fund it through, he said, you know, we're sponsored by NISBA and we work through BOCES and some districts get reimbursement through BOCES.
Right. That's
So-
all the people I talked to, it's a BOCES aidable. They're not getting anything from NISBA.
Right. There is preferred pricing through NISBA and BOCES. However, BOCES does a large reimbursement, but there is a preferred pricing.
But the preferred pricing is going to the BOCES.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with it though. I would be for it as long as it's not outrageous.
If we can do the light that includes the things that we need to have, and the executive items, and still have a public portion, so that people can look at the agenda and the minutes afterwards, but not the supporting.
We don't need the goal.
We don't need the goal because we're gonna do that through Super Eval.
Yeah,
I have a feeling the policies was part of the,
yeah, the policy section, ability to store policy book,
that.
last reviewed, last revised. I wonder if that's in the super.
I would bet that's in the super, and I'm sure that we could figure a way to do that at some point on our own without.
And the library piece too, Stacy, if you can ask if the library feature is part of the super, please.
Because I'd like to use it because it is more secure in terms of where the information is stored, especially the executive portion of it. But, I definitely don't want to, spend a lot of money on it.
I loved it. I thought it was great though.
Okay, so we'll table our decision on that until we get the pricing update. I have one more item. Tiana had brought up that, especially with this, this board packet, that with the policies to go through and the financial information, that she felt that getting them Friday afternoon, there wasn't quite enough time. I had a quick discussion with Stacy. one of the things that she said, she and I thought might work is that when something comes through earlier that's done, we can have that posted for us to look at. I believe that most of the financial statements we look at would be available prior to that Friday afternoon. So,
Sometimes I'm getting those on Friday,
okay, but I mean,
it's tough.
And if you are, Zach,
process
it's
it.
okay. It's just, it's a lot to go through because we're, you know, it's important that we understand it, that we
Yeah.
don't have questions, and it just took me a while to go through everything.
so if the rest of the board is in agreement, we can make the request that anything that comes in prior to Friday gets posted so that we can start looking at that information earlier. I hesitate to have it so that everything is available because the agenda is pretty fluid throughout the week before our meeting. And my concern is if that we start posting things for us to look at, there will be amendments made, and so then we have to look at it again. So if everybody is in agreement, we can request that things that are not likely to change, that are available prior to Friday afternoon, that maybe they can be made available to us so that at least some of it we can not, I don't want to say get out of the way, but we can review it earlier.
Like even those policies, I had my list from the previous meeting, but I didn't have all the clean versions to go through. So it was a lot to go through.
Yeah, and I think that this was a different one in
Yeah.
terms of, we had those policies which were big. We had, what else?
Conference day and a holiday.
Mhm.
A conference day and a holiday.
Right,
Yeah, and
right.
we had a lot of other things that were pretty intensive to look through.
Yeah.
So it's not usually that bad, but how does the board feel about making that request that if something is available before
I
Friday?
definitely agree.
Don't matter, make sign, don't look at it until Saturday. That's fine.
Whatever, I will.
Oh, you guys are, so I'm the one
No,
that.
no.
It's so much work, and I have to plan. I'm
And
a
then- and
planner, and I
that's
have to
okay.
plan when I'm gonna look at stuff. I know that sounds crazy.
No,
Schedule
it's,
your
it's,
time.
it's fine.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up, Stephanie. Thank
Yep.
you.
Is there anything else for Board of Education discussion that is crucial for tonight?
The only crucial thing is, who is the new principal in the TRA? What's his name again? I'm sorry. Matt. I just want to say I've heard amazing things about you in the last 3 weeks that I just wanted to share. I can't even say enough things. The kids think you are fantastic and they're really happy that you're down there and you're creating structure. So I just want to say, I've heard this from multiple students. So kudos to you. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And thank you. That's all I want to say. I thought that was crucial to share.
And I've heard the same from staff members.
I
too, so.
apologize for forgetting your name. I'm so sorry.
Well, and Zach and Joanne, my students had to all do reviews of 20 points. Want to know what the number one thing that came out?
What?
They thought that the school was so great because it had great lighting and looked so inviting.
Awesome.
That's cute. Anything else for this evening?
No, thank you.
Do we have a need for an executive session after the meeting? Okay, then I am going to propose that we adjourn the public meeting at 9:19 PM. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not asking the other two.
Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you. Keep up the good work, all of you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Molly, it just sent an email that has a comparison